Hello, welcome to the Krueg Show. I'm Larry Krueger. On the box to my right, Dan Coach Emilio. A couple spots over, the great Ryan Smith. Bottom of the frame, Frank Red, and Cyrus Satsis. Carl Foster will be joining us. He is was watching it in the sports bar tonight. And he says his hotel is a block away from the sports bar. So he's going to hustle back to the hotel. So Carl's going to join us as well. Welcome to the Krueg Show. I was actually thinking about wagering tonight on Golden State. It was Warriors -7, and I don't know. I just can't really go with it one way or another. But sure enough, they did cover 123-110. Golden State beats Miami. And guys, interesting basketball game. I thought overall, Steph Curry played tremendous. Another tremendous night for Steph. I mean, look at those numbers for Curry: 33, 7, and 9 for Curry. Green had 10.7 boards, 4 assists, 18 for Wiggins to go at 10 boards. Klay had 19. Jimmy Butler led the way for the Heat. He had 27. Bam, 26 and 8. And Lowry, 12 and 8. So Golden State gets 10 and 6 from Wiseman off the bench, 11 and 7 assists from Jordan Poole. And Golden State, the numbers that jump out to me, guys, plus 12 at the three-point line, plus 19 on the glass.
You want to know something else? Steph and Curry, no free throw attempts, despite the 33 points.
How about that?
Oh, my gosh.
30 assists for Golden State, 20 turnovers. They did have the 20 turnovers, but Golden State was plus 14 points in the paint, and they beat Miami, and it was not – I don't want to say it was easy, but I thought Miami was going to put up a better fight than that. Miami didn't quite look as good as I guess in my head I thought they would, but the Heat, I guess that's an indication the Heat are struggling a little bit early on here.
Back-to-back. This was the second of a back-to-back, too. That's why I feel bad for you didn't put that bet in, because I thought it was a lock.
Really?
But
could have called me.
But again, the Warriors, I mean, have they ever lost when they're healthy and they actually care? I mean, I think we all knew the Warriors were not going to lose tonight. Klay Thompson was pissed. That last dagger 3 of his was awesome, by the way. I mean, that was like a line drive 3 that did not hit rim. That was awesome. It was good. It's the Warriors, man. What do you
Good win for Golden State. By the way, Kuminga, DNP coach's decision. No Baldwin, no Rollins. That's not surprising. But were you guys surprised that Kuminga didn't play at all?
A wee bit. I mean,
Larry,
clearly,
do you remember? Sorry to interrupt you, Ryan, but Larry, do you remember what I told you a few days ago? It's not something we can publicize, but it had to do with Kuminga. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
So, and I can't reveal this publicly. This is just, maybe it'll come out. I've learned so Kuminga did something that is not bad, but it might have been unethical. And I learned tonight that might be the reason why he's been seeing his minutes dwindle to virtually nothing. Just something to throw out there. I wish we can get into it, but a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes. I don't know if that's a reason, but I've now learned it's a possibility, and it's kind of crazy. But I don't like it, man. Do you guys like the fact that he hasn't play at all?
I don't have a problem with it.
He started playoff games last year.
Yeah, this is a new year.
I don't know.
This is a different year, and I can just focus on basketball with Kuminga. The reason why I admire and I love Steve Kerr as a coach and as a former player is that dude is tough as nails. He had to earn every second that he got on the floor. He looks at this guy who has so much talent, and he's just not being attentive. So I'm not surprised that Kerr hasn't played him. I think he'll get in next game, but he has to earn it just like everybody else.
I thought Ty Jerome played a good game. Just in the limited minutes, he was, they made a few shots over him, but it wasn't because he wasn't on his man. And then he hit that nice 3 down there in the fourth quarter while Steph was on the bench. It was he's got a little bit of a different looking shot. But he's a guy that's, I think Kerr likes him because he's tall and he's a distributor.
Well, I mean, he definitely has some length to him as far as, I think they prefer the backup point guard to be a taller guy. They've had taller point guards. It's interesting too. They like Jerome. I like Jerome as well, going back to UVA, and he shoots it all right. I just thought there were probably better options of guys you could have had, but clearly Steve likes him, trusts him, and feels like he wants another primary ball handler out there. So, we'll see. We'll see how he fits in. He's going to get extended run. They brought him in for a reason, and then he's going to get some minutes from time to time as a backup one. Now, Jordan Poole is an incredible talent, but is he a 1? Is he a 2? Is he an undersized 2? Is he a combo guard? He's not a true point guard. He's 1.5. He's definitely not a pass first point guard. So, and Rollins is a relative baby in the whole grand scheme of things. So he wanted to have a true backup point guard that could probably defend 1s and 2s, that has a different look, that can handle, get him into and out of the right sets and that kind of thing. I don't know. Jerome is a veteran, even though he has not really established himself as an NBA player, he's also not a rookie. He's a veteran. He's been through the wars a little bit. He's got a little bit, he should be right entering the prime of his career, right? He knows what the NBA speed looks like. He's been around a couple spots. Now he's on a good team. And I think Kerr and Myers are gambling that he can give him some good minutes. We welcome in Carl to the stream. Carl, how's the Hampton Inn doing over there? Did you make it back in time? I mean, you're not sweating. You didn't run back to the hotel, huh?
Didn't have to run. Took a trip. One of those hotels where you have to walk up the stairs because the elevator's not working. But that's life on the corporate road.
Well, I don't know how much of the game you caught, but what did you think? I mean, Warriors get a nice win. They were 7-point favorites. They wound up covering the number. What was your impressions of the game overall?
Well, the three things that I would say that really were impressive tonight. Number one, this kind of had a playoff feel. I'm not saying playoff intensity, playoff feel in terms of two teams that are going to be around when it comes money time. They're going to do well in the playoffs. They have a chance to make a deep run. I thought Miami was incredibly opportunistic. The Warriors were a little bit casual with the basketball at certain parts of the game, but they made up for that by really killing the glass. You could see the defensive intensity was significantly higher. And then they scored 27 points on putback points. So what were they, 11 for 16, I think, from the floor after they grabbed an offensive rebound. And I thought that was impressive. And tonight you really saw the veterans kind of take a stand and say, hey, we've got to showcase to these younger guys what it takes to play winning basketball.
Yeah, I actually thought that Miami played pretty well. I thought, they seemed super tough. I thought they kind of seemed like, they know that they were, seconds away from possibly meeting up with this Warriors team in the finals. And I'm sure they've been, trying to hype themselves up. Like, if we just made it to the finals, we would have taken care of this Warriors team. We're old. We're not like this young Celtics team. We wouldn't have, crumbled or whatever. So I thought they were pretty good. I mean, it was kind of concerning how much they were just throwing the ball around. And again, I'm going back to the Jordan Poole thing a little bit. Still, he had his moments, but it just, there was one play I noticed in particular towards the end of the game where he let Tyler Hero, I believe it was either Tyler Hero, Gabe Vincent, drove in on him, missed the shot. He had trash defense, and then he just didn't block him out, and the guy got the rebound again. He seems like, I don't know, he just doesn't seem like he's playing as much like a winning player as he was last year.
He didn't play the last 7 minutes, which was kind of surprising.
Yeah. He's leading the team in negative plus minus as well. One more than Wiseman. I think he's like minus 54, 53.
Interesting. Tonight,
I think you're muted.
They had 50 rebounds tonight to Miami's 31. They had been getting out rebounded the last 3 games. So the focus tonight was on getting onto the boards and playing tougher D. Everybody's been averaging over 30 assists in the last 3 games. They held Miami to 25 assists. So, anytime the Warriors get out assisted is a red flag for me.
Yeah, Jordan Poole, by the way, the only player, sorry, was muted, who was in the minus tonight. Everyone else was in the positive, so or even. Moses Moody was even, but it was a weird rotation.
It was a good win for Golden State. I mean, Miami can be tough if you get them on the wrong night. That's why it's like you always got to look. I mean, what is the situation? Is the team on a back-to-back? What is the situation? It's like that means so much when you're analyzing an NBA game. It's like, is it the first game of a long road trip? Is it the last game of a long road trip? Have they played 3 games in 5 nights? Are they well rested? I mean, it really does kind of set up, where one team generally has a scheduling advantage. It seems like it's very rare that both teams have the same kind of deal rolling in. But I just like the fact that Golden State bounced back. I did hear an interesting comment today about Steve. I'm not sure if it was from Kerr, but it was about Klay Thompson. It was Bob Myers. Bob Myers was on 95.7 The Game today, and he was doing an interview, and he just kind of alluded to the fact that, Klay's got a lot going on in his life, like off the floor. And it's like, we're always talking about, he just got ejected for the first time the other day. And everybody's speculating, is he having a hard time because he's not getting extended and other guys are getting extended? Instantly people go to the money angle and it more times than not when it's about, somebody who's made this much money, it's probably not about money. And sure enough, kind of Bob Myers alluded to it that, he might have, some family issues and health situations and things going on in his head and maybe he's trying to come to grips with, can he get all the way back and kind of the stresses of where he's at in his career. And it's most likely not about money. It's most likely about other things. But those are the factors, guys, that we really don't weigh in. We don't know about. And so there's no way for us to kind of add them to the equation. But just knowing who, everybody's got a life. Everybody's got parents. Everybody's parents get old. Everybody, everybody's got different stresses. Maybe there's a family tragedy or, some problem at home. You never know. I mean, Steph, what he went through with his parents splitting up, I mean, that's a very public thing to go through while you're also competing and on a nightly basis in the public. I'm just saying that we always kind of point to these factors, like we know all of the factors in these guys' lives. And the reality is people are complex and they've got complex lives. And maybe what we saw the other day had nothing to do with Devin Booker or cash or, you know what I mean? And maybe had things to do with stress that Klay's feeling from other, aspects of life. So there you go. I don't know if anybody else heard that interview with Myers, but he kind of alluded to the fact that Klay could have other things on his mind. Very
possible. Same with Draymond, right? I mean, when Dre threw that punch, I mean, he alluded to that as well, that he had some personal stuff going on. So
yeah. So you just kind of never know, you never know the situation that someone's going through and what they're going through. But overall,
these trolls, man.
Yeah, I blocked a couple of them there. But one of the things that I thought was interesting too is that Kerr, cited a stat today saying that the Warriors are the worst transition team in the entire league, and their transition defense has just been pretty much non-existent. They were last in transition points against thus far coming into tonight's game. How did you guys feel like the Warriors did as far as fast break points? I believe, well, I'm not sure who led in fast break points at the end of the game. Fast break points in the first half, I think Golden State.
The Warriors.
Miami was plus 11 in fast break points, 15-4 in the first half. I don't know what it was for the game.
19-12 was the final fast break point.
19-12. So again, they got beat almost by 20 points in transition, or they gave up to almost 20 points in transition. What did you guys think of their transition defense, and what is the key to playing good transition defense?
Commitment. I think when each individual player takes upon the responsibility of just executing the game plan, which is what Kerr wants them to do, I think it gets better. I thought they were significantly better tonight, even if the numbers didn't necessarily speak to that. And the one example that I can point to is the fact that they played a pretty good zone tonight. And you can't play zone unless your players are aligned properly. Miami started the party by playing zone against the Warriors. Steve Kerr showed his brilliance by making an in-game decision to play zone against them. And for the most part, I thought the Warriors were in excellent position and forced Miami into some tough perimeter shots. And I gave them the momentum as they started to end the first half, notwithstanding the 9-0 run that Miami went on.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the post-game interview with Dennis Scott, Steph Curry.
I did, yeah.
Dennis asked him about the turnovers, and Steph kind of said, well, we got to get used to, we were focusing so much on our defense that we got to learn how to play against the zone. And a lot of their turnovers came against the zone defense that Miami was playing them. And Steph acted like we didn't know what to do. He was kind of chuckling about it. So, they were really, their game plan and their focus since, the Phoenix game was defense tonight. And I think they did a good job. I mean, they were, like you said, Frank, the intensity, the commitment to it. They were definitely moving and communicating well. And I don't know. I thought the one key play at the end of the game was just an unbelievable play by both Wiggins and Draymond. Wiggins kept the ball alive, kind of went over toward Draymond, toward the baseline, and Draymond, rather than catch it, just tipped it out. I can't remember who he tipped it to, but then they made a three, I think, off of it. But it was
he threw it to Klay Thompson, and Klay passed it over to Steph, who drained the tray over.
Yeah, that was it. That was just a great veteran play. And then the other great veteran play was when Steph saw Draymond, and he lobbed the ball to Draymond, and Draymond, without even catching it, just tipped it right to Looney for a dunk. I think it was Looney. But
yeah,
those are two really good plays that a lot of times get overlooked. We see the great 3-point shot or something like that, but just the awareness. You know what, Dan?
Just to even add to that, that was the one play I wrote down that I was like, okay, that looked like the Warriors. That looked scary. It was with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. So as Wiggins kind of had a powerful drive, really under control, and made a great, beautiful pass out to Steph. Steph missed the three. Wiggins crashed the board.
Yes,
tipped it out. Draymond got it, immediately tipped it out to Klay, who then found a relocating Steph, who hesitated and then still hit the three.
Yeah, that was a unbelievable play, because at that point the game was, still within striking distance. I think it was within 2 possessions.
What do you guys think of the stat PER, the player efficiency rating?
I think it's really good, but it does favor big men and people who possess the ball more. Sorry.
Anybody else have a thought?
It's like QBR in football, right? I mean, it's just arbitrary.
It's like this all-encompassing stat. I bring it up because I was looking at the Warriors just through the first 4 games. PER, number 1, Steph, right? Mm-hmm. Number 2, Wiggins. But guess who's third on the team in PER?
Moody.
Looney.
Nope.
Moody.
No.
Not Looney either.
Not Looney. Not Moody.
Draymond.
Wiseman. No.
Klay.
No.
Jermichael Green. No. Carl, you want to guess? Dante DiVincenzo? No.
Don't you Sean Livingston?
Sean Livingston? No.
Is it Jordan Poole?
Not Jordan Poole.
What were we missing?
James Wiseman.
I said Wiseman.
James Wiseman. No, but Carl said it the way Carl said it. He said it with more conviction. I'm fucking with Danny. No, but it's James Wiseman. It's James Wiseman.
Yeah,
how about that?
That's what I'm saying. It favors bigs a little bit more. I think that the best, I do think that's really interesting though, but I think the best stat, and unfortunately they don't even put the stat out until there's a bigger sample size, but dunksandthrees.com has it's called EPM, and it takes into account a bunch of different factors, but one of the major factors is plus minus. And so I actually really like it because it kind of is able to sift through that. James Wiseman hasn't had a great plus minus. It's able to kind of do a pretty good job of filtering things out. When you look at it, it's like those are the right guys. In fact, if you guys, I'll pull up what it was last year for last year's team, like the players. It's like everything that's plus is like compared to an average player, you're this many points better.
My honest belief is that advanced metrics in basketball are borderline worthless. They have some, relevance when it comes to baseball. Football, I've seen some great stats. Basketball, man, I've never seen a single advanced metric, indicate.
I bet you're going to like this
wow.
one, Si.
What's up?
I bet you're going to like this one. So this is the 2022 Warriors. This is their EPM leaders.
EPM.
That's it. Yeah, the EPA, the
So
EPM.
so essentially valuable. Steph Curry, Gary Payton. When he's on the floor, he's 3.5 points better. Or the team.
Bob Myers and Kerr are looking at this.
I know. So, but it's Steph, it's Gary Payton, Draymond.
Last year.
Yeah, this is last year. Gary Payton, Draymond, then Klay, then Poole, Wiggins, Looney, and then it's like Iggy, Otto Porter, and then you get into the minus. But like, there's not many advanced stats out there that are going to show Gary Payton, number 2 with the amount of offensive output he has. So,
hey, let me ask you guys this. Kerr on opening night used an 11-man rotation. Tonight, he played his starting 5 plus JaMychal, Wiseman, Ty Jerome, Poole, and Moody. So he used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10, he had a 10-man rotation. And that was with no DiVincenzo, who's hurt, and he didn't use Kuminga. Ultimately, what do you think he'll settle into by the time we get towards, like, not just the postseason, because postseason's always a little different, but just like in the second half of the year when he does tighten the bench, let's just say, how many guys do you think will be in his nightly rotation?
Minimum 10.
10.
11.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 11.
10 to 11, but yeah, minimum 10. He's not going to wear these guys out.
So who's going to be the guy that's not in the rotation out of JaMychal, Wiseman, Jerome, Poole, Moody,
Jerome's a
Kuminga,
two-way guy.
and DiVincenzo?
Jerome's not going to play when DiVincenzo's back.
Yeah, Jerome's a two-way guy.
Yeah, Jerome's not going to play when DiVincenzo's back. This Kuminga thing, man, I really wish we talked about this because I think this is a fiasco. Like I don't know how you're not giving. He needs reps. He needs reps. And maybe Dan's right. Maybe you got to send him to Santa Cruz because if you're just going to sit the number 7 pick in last year's draft,
look at Dan grinning right there. He's been dreaming about this Santa Cruz thing. I don't know what else you
do. I don't like sitting him there, just like rotting away either. So if the alternative is either him not playing at all, then yeah, you got to send him to Santa Cruz. I don't like that move either, but this is crazy to me. I don't know your thoughts.
Well, basically, what you can surmise from that is it's not the talent. It's the other stuff because he's good enough. If you just look at what Kuminga did in the playoffs, in the summer league, he's one of the best players in Vegas. This guy is ready to play, but he has to do the little things that Kerr wants him to do, which is not extreme. It's hustling, it's boxing out, it's playing your role, it's having great body language. It's a lot of things that he doesn't do.
He doesn't move his feet well on defense a lot. That's his issue.
Yeah, Graves asked this question, guys. He says, is Kuminga not a good practice player?
Well,
is that why he gets no minutes?
So Monty Poole was on Papa and Lund today. I saw this on Twitter. I hope someone confirms this. And he said that Monty Poole, this is from Monty Poole, he said that the veterans are getting tired of Kuminga's lack of effort, his lack of focus. I guess this is the veterans are frustrated with him, and that's why he's not getting the time. If that's true, yeah, Kuminga better turn this around. He better turn this around fast. I mean, this is crazy to me. I don't know.
But that, Cyrus, what that does is that touches on 2 critical things. It kind of blends what you're saying and what Frank is saying. There's not a question on Jonathan Kuminga's talent.
Yeah.
That's why he was the 7th pick in the draft. Anyone could see it. I think of all the guys in that draft, he may have had the 2nd most physical talent in that draft.
Oh, yeah. Prior to the draft, there was some talk of him being number 1.
He was top 5 for easily.
The challenge is basketball is a team sport that's predicated on certain principles to win. And if you're going to win, you also have to get the confidence of the other 4 guys that are on the floor and the guys that are competing with you for minutes. And I keep going back to this, and I'll go back to it until I think it's going to change. And I do think there's a formula for that change that I'll touch on really quick. Number one, you have to take minutes. You cannot be given the minutes, or else it will frustrate the other guys who are taking minutes. JaMychal Green is taking minutes, and he's earning it. He had a defensive play tonight where he and Wiggins was fronting, and then as soon as Adebayo caught the basketball, JaMychal Green was right there. Quick rotation, quick help, and all of a sudden they were able to get a turnover and get the ball back. And that, one other thing about the defensive, Larry, you had asked about the transition defense earlier. There was a play that Moses Moody made early in the first half where he hustled back in transition, got himself in front of a loose ball on a pass, and was able to get a steal. Those are the little things that Kerr and his staff are going to be looking for. And it's the things that are frustrating them about Jonathan Kuminga, because they know he has the talent to do those things. But until you're doing those things, it can't happen. The great thing for him is this 5-game road trip. That's in 6 days. They've got 6 days to play 5 games.
I don't think they play 5 and 6. I think it's probably 7 or 8.
It's all the way until November 4th. So whatever it starts Saturday through the 4th.
That's 4 and 5.
I don't think they even do that in the NBA anymore. 4 and 5.
They give it to you, and it's on the road. Jonathan Kuminga is going to have at least 1 and probably 2 games on this road trip where he's going to get a chance to showcase, are you ready? They're trying to give him this first slate of games to get himself ready to compete. And if he handles his business on the road trip, you'll see him in the rotation. I had told Frank earlier, right around the time that they signed JaMychal Green, that JaMychal Green was what I call Jonathan Kuminga insurance. That if he didn't step up, here's a veteran that'll take those minutes. And right now, he's earning every minute he's getting, if not more.
Well, I mean, here's the thing with Kuminga. The Warriors hold all the cards. I mean, they're the championship team. He's a young, incredible talent. Either he adapts to their scheme. If he doesn't, his contract is the most tradable. There's a million teams in the league that would love to have Kuminga. You would have probably, my guess is you would have 10 to 15 teams that would submit offers for him because he's young. He's on a rookie deal. He's athletic as hell. You can see his upside. All he needs is minutes. And every team's going to be able to look at a guy like that and say, man, with that athleticism, we'll turn him into this. We'll turn him into that. I think he's one of the easiest players to trade in the entire league if they wanted to move him at any point. So they kind of hold all the cards. I'm sure they're not thinking that way. They obviously like him. They drafted him. I agree with Frank. I thought I saw a player in the summer that was ready to kind of take off. But, there's a big difference between structure in a summer league versus structure in an NBA, season. And now the challenge this year is going to be greater in some ways because the minutes are tougher to come by. The rotation's tighter. The competition for those minutes is more severe. You have more guys, Phillips says here, a great point. He says, problem is Kuminga has too much competition at his position. JaMychal Green is more experienced, more reliable at this point. Moody isn't as talented as Kuminga.
It's not that great of a point, though, Larry.
Agreed.
Here's why it's not so great of a point.
Agreed.
There's never too much competition at your position if you play up to your ability.
No, I'm just saying there's other guys that Steve can go with. That's all.
Well, and Kuminga, I mean, basketball in this modern era is so positionless that if Kuminga really worked on his game, he could be filling in at 1 through 4,
Sure.
So he needs to take the impetus of really being proactive and developing his game. By the way, the road trip is 5 games and 7 nights.
Yeah.
Still rigorous, but
that's pretty rigorous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two back-to-backs in there. Yeah.
That's
he is raw, though. Would we agree? I mean, Phillips says he's the most raw of all the Dubs youngsters. Didn't play organized ball until he was like 14 or 15.
Yeah, he just turned 20 a little while ago. He will definitely get, like whoever said, he'll get 2 games for sure on the back-to-back. He'll play probably in that back-to-back. He'll probably get 30 minutes in 2 of those games.
Yeah, I think
he's a 19-year-old kid, too. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, I don't have a – yeah, I mean, you know what, though? But it's like I mean – Moses Moody knows the assignment. This kid is 19 years old also, played 1 year in college. He came into a championship organization and assimilated like a free agent looking for a contract. the challenge I have with Kuminga, and I believe in the kid, I think he's going to be a good player, but he needs to understand that this is the opportunity of a lifetime. And all you got to do with a guy like Kerr, I would have loved to play for Steve Kerr because if you hustle, you know, he'll get you paid. Look what he did for Warren. Are you kidding me? All Kuminga has to do is go out and play basic basketball and give 100% effort, and he'll be revered. Because the Warrior fans understand that style of basketball also.
And he's in the position of this. There are people, I'm included in that group. I had Jonathan Kuminga ranked as the number 2 prospect in that class. I love Cade Cunningham, but I love Jonathan Kuminga's combination of tools.
Mm-hmm.
But tools have to be assembled, and the assembly kit is still under construction. That's the beauty of him being in this organization. They're one of the few organizations that are in a position to make him have to earn it, because he's as physically gifted as the young man who's in Toronto, who was Rookie of the Year. The difference is Scotty is polished at playing that ubiquitous energy role. Kuminga is still raw. He'll get all the opportunity this year he can. They know we need this young man eventually to reach his peak where he should be in year 2 in order for us to be as good as we're capable. So we all get to watch this train ride and enjoy it. And hopefully we just keep rooting for it. I hear your frustration, Cyrus, because we all want to see it.
Yeah.
We saw pieces of it last year, but the beauty is we have to trust the brain trust. And, you know, fortunately for us, their emotional response is going to be matched by what they look at in terms of the numbers and the analytics. And at the end of the day, we know the kid's going to be here for probably at least one more year for sure to get an opportunity. The question is, will he take advantage of what's in front of him right now?
I just want to add, Steve Kerr addressed it in the postgame presser. He's quoted as saying that Jonathan's time is coming, and added, he's not happy, and I don't want him to be happy. I want all my guys to want to be out there. My only concern is I don't like seeing regression, and I don't see him progressing. That's the one thing that's alarming to me, because last year, even through the first couple weeks, he was getting time out there. He was impressing. He was showing promise, and just to not see him, and when he's out there this year, like, he looks lost. I don't know.
But he's the equivalent size of a college sophomore, right? Isn't he? I mean, age-wise.
Yes.
Or
Junior.
Yeah. So he's still relatively young. Yeah. He hasn't played a lot of ball. And, to me, the other thing about Jonathan that's so unique is that, I mean, I've talked to him before. He's been away from his home far away from his home by himself for a long time. I mean, like, he hasn't seen his parents and that kind of thing. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like Moses Moody is maybe they're the same age, as far as their actual age, but Moses Moody is a totally different person and has a totally different experiences. And then he also had a chance to play in the Southeastern Conference in a structured college basketball environment, which I think is different than the G League and different than the Ignite whole experience. I just think that
Larry,
I don't know. I don't really feel like I can really evaluate Kuminga fairly until he has, like, I would say, the end of this year. Like, last year, now this year, then we'll take a look. 2 years, because and this is the thing. Andre Iguodala's asked this question. This is an interesting one to me. Andre was saying, somebody asked him, and it's like, if your premise is wrong, your conclusion's wrong, right? Somebody asked him the question, hey, do you think the Warrior rookies, I think they're probably referring to Baldwin and Rollins, are disadvantaged because they are playing on a winning team and they don't get the run that they would be if they played an OKC or SAC? And he said, hey, I think it's the opposite. Here, our guys are learning how to win. And so they're getting minutes in an environment where winning is the priority. And he's like, there's all kinds of guys who on bad teams pile up all kinds of stats, but they develop terrible habits because they're doing it on a losing culture. But I would say this, I agree with Andre, But I think the unspoken part of that is it's much more difficult to be a young player on a championship team, not getting run and trying to develop, than I think it would be on a lesser team getting lots of minutes, developing on the floor. I think it takes more. I don't know. I mean, maybe Carl, Frank, you could speak to this a little bit more directly as far as your belief on it. But I just think that when you're watching and then you're getting smaller doses of minutes and you have to make it happen with a lot of pressure, that seems like a different environment and a more difficult environment to adapt to the NBA than, hey, OKC, go out there and get some run and, give me your guys' thoughts on that, because it is interesting. You need to play to develop, but at the same time, you don't want to develop bad habits on bad teams, and that can happen.
Well, I'm gonna agree with Foss. I think that every team that I've ever been on, every team that I ever coached, the premise was go take minutes, and I don't think that changes because you get paid. And I also think that even just looking back at my own career, I got better in practice. I didn't get better in the games. I was able to affirm my improvement in practice in the games, but you don't get better in the games. The foundation is built in practice, especially on a championship caliber team. So, I mean, just like Cyrus said, and just like you said, Larry, playing on bad teams, you develop bad habits. You don't feel the pressure.
Yep.
I mean, when Ty Jerome hit that 3-pointer tonight, he affirmed everything that Steve Kerr needed to know about him. That was a big three. He knocked it down in a pressure situation when the game was in the balance. Kuminga needs to feel that, as opposed to playing just meaningless minutes on a team that's not very good.
You're 100% right, Frank, because the Kuminga has probably the most raw talent of anybody on the roster, athleticism. The guy is just a freak athlete. But as you alluded to, he's got to take those minutes, and Kerr is a genius in my mind. Sitting a guy on the bench that wants to play is just going to have he's trying to light a fire under Jonathan and saying, you want to play? Then you get ticked and you play with passion and commitment and go balls out, every play. That's what he did last year, and he took minutes. And he was not expected to get a lot of minutes last year, but he took those minutes and he forced Kerr to play him. And that's what he needs to do again this year.
There was a play last year. They were playing, if I'm not mistaken, Phoenix on the Christmas Day game. And They're on the fast break, and Draymond is waving him, run, because Draymond sees an advanced pass that he was going to make to Kuminga and get him a dunk. Because he was jogging, he never got the basketball. They ended up, I think, turning it over. Draymond immediately went over to him and was like, man, you got to run. And the coaching staff, you could see them run.
You get yanked for that.
These
usually
habits they're not taught. They are trusted. They have to trust that you are taking the information and you're going to apply it. Moses Moody is probably his best friend on the team. They have a ton in common in terms of age and probably interest in those kinds of things. Moses Moody has the maturity of a 32-year-old in a 19-year-old body. Jonathan Kuminga looks like a 19-year-old in a 19-year-old's body. And we all know that we're going to see the bursting of this kid. We know that the franchise isn't going to give up on him, and they're trying to get him not to give up on himself. And as much as it's frustrating, we have to take the adult approach of, I'm going to do what any parent would do if my kid isn't doing what I'm asking them to do. I'm going to keep standing firm on those things, and I'm going to discipline them in the appropriate way to get the appropriate response. And I think in the end, we're going to get a great response out of Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, and there's also a fine line to what Jonathan has to do, because he has to come in and hustle, but but play within the system. Because if he starts playing, hero ball, then he's going to be back on the bench. So
Here's the question that I think is interesting. Not to interrupt you, Danny, but Danny threw out the concept of the G League, and you guys all crapped on him. No, I'm just joking.
No, I did. On the idea.
No, we all crapped on him. We all crapped on him. He may have deserved it. No, but here's the question, and I think it is a good point with Jonathan. Jonathan does need to play at the NBA level because he's trying to earn minutes not in any rotation. He needs to earn minutes in this rotation.
Yes.
He doesn't need to learn any offense. He needs to learn this offense.
Correct.
But then we are talking about a guy, and we all know this, that is incredibly raw. And in reality, yeah, he does need to do what I just described, but he also needs the reps. Just the reps.
Absolutely.
And maybe, I can remember doing this one time with a kid that, we put him on the B team because we had so many guys, and he was kind of a shy personality kid, but he was really talented, right? He was a really talented kid. When like the 5th grade he came out, he could have been easily on the A team, but he just wasn't assertive enough. Like he just was like kind of laid back personality, but he had the best game. So I'm like, hey, why don't you play on the B team, and we'll just feed you all kinds of shots. Just shoot it. Just shoot it.
Well, Carl brought up something that made me.
And sure enough, at the end of the year, he was like the most improved player. This was a 5th grade season. He became the best player on the A team, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Why? I would contest that it was all based on the fact that 5th grade, they all took 50 shots, let's say. He took 350.
Well, yeah,
and
Larry,
he really did improve, and he needed those reps.
But you made this argument with the Jordan Poole angle, right? Like Poole did the same thing. I'm not disagreeing with that. But this is a guy who started in the playoffs last year for a championship team, and now you're telling him, yeah, you've taken a step back. We're going to send you to the G League. I still don't know if that's the right thing. But Carl brought up something interesting, and it correlates with Jackson J in the comments, who writes that Kuminga went to 3 high schools in 3 years. Carl, you said that you think Moses Moody's his closest friend. I don't know if it might be true. I don't know. But I don't see him having close relationships with anyone on the team. I've never really thought of that before. Like, I don't see him really socializing. And it makes me wonder if maybe like a veteran or two or some of his teammates maybe just need to understand that everyone has different backgrounds, because I relate to that. I went to a lot of different high schools, and man, that lack of stability can affect you psychologically.
That explains a lot.
And maybe Kuminga just needs a little nurturing. I don't know. But
do you need nurturing?
Sometimes we all do, man. We all do.
Okay, and I'm a touch, and I'd love to hear.
Lay down on the couch there.
I'd love to hear your response on this too, Frank. Here's my challenge with the G League strategy. If Moses Moody goes and plays in the G League, they're asking Moses to knock down shots, aggressively attack the rim, defend at a high level, the 2 and the 3 position, make good decisions. That's the exact same role he'll play on the Golden State Warriors. When Jordan Poole went to the G League, they're asking him, use your creativity, knock down 3 balls, play some pick and roll action, get in transition, make free throws, don't make a lot of mistakes on the defensive end. That's what he does on the Golden State Warriors. The challenge is Jonathan Kuminga goes to the G League. What's going to happen? He's going to be a primary ball handler. He's going to be a primary offensive threat. He's going to be able to get wherever he wants, whenever he wants, because he's just so far superior to the athletes that are there. And he's going to be very ball dominant while he's there, which is what you saw in Summer League. That's not the way he's going to play when he comes to play for the Warriors. They're asking him to play more like a outstanding role player than they're going to ask him to play like a primary option. So the pieces just don't fit the same if you put him in the minor league environment. And that's where the bad habits can come in, because now he gets comfortable. Hey, I'm doing it just like I did in Summer League, coach. I'm ready to come back to the big club and do it. Okay, we want you to rebound, run the floor, and defend the heck out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But Carl, here's the question. I want to hear what Frank says, but I don't you think that that might be shortchanging? I mean, first of all, if you really want someone to play this like super role player, maybe Kuminga's not the right guy for that role, just period. And because to me, he's too valuable to, you need him to do this. Well, yeah, but you don't want to squash the development of the rest of this game. This is one of the bright young talents in the league. I don't know. I don't know the answer here. I really don't know the answer, but sitting him and playing him inconsistently and sending these messages as opposed to playing every night, getting run. I'm not sure what he needs for his confidence to develop his game. At some point, though, you're right, Carl, as far as he's going to have to learn how to play the Warriors system, right?
Well, let's just take the Warriors system out for a second. Tell me what Jonathan Kuminga's best basketball skill is.
I think it's the fact that he can run all day and he can defend 1 through 5. He's got that he's got the strength to guard any big, and I think he's got the quickness to stay in front of any guard. There are very few athletes in the league that can reasonably guard all 5 spots. He reasonably could.
Carl, I'll give you asking him to do.
I'll give you a specific answer to that. Is I saw glimpses last year of him having a terrific post-up game. He can back defenders down, spin. He uses his left naturally. So I saw that part of his game actually looking great. And I could see him I see what you're saying. I think he should focus on specific aspects of the game and take it step by step there, if that's what you're, leading into. But
absolutely. That's where his strength that we saw last year. This team with Wiseman on the squad, that need for the back down isn't as important when he comes in with the second unit, because you've already got a guy who's going to sit the hard screen and roll in, or he's sitting in the dunker spot.
It's another good point you're making there, Carl, because Kuminga didn't have Wiseman last year. And so he took on more of a high flyer, lobs, a lot of lobs that are now going to Wiseman on the pick and rolls. I think Kuminga's game is that he's versatile and that he, like Larry said, he can guard 1 through 5. As far as athletically, he's got more raw talent than a Scottie Pippen. I don't know if he can be Scottie Pippen, but he's got a similar type of length to him, He's
but
got
that's not specific, Dan. Carl's asking for a specific
role. What I see with Kuminga is play solid defense when you get in and rebound. Run the floor on the wings and get that thing up and on those fast breaks. And then if there's nothing there, get into the flow of the offense and move the ball. And when it's your time to get the ball down low and he can do that tornado spin move, that's his game.
As a coach, these guys have a gazillion coaches. And even the guy on the bench who doesn't play has some objectives in the case that he does play. All right. So with Kuminga, they go over the game plan. They look at his objectives. When he gets in the game, they're specifically looking if he is doing exactly what they want him to do. And I would assume that he's grading out poorly after practicing these little nuanced type of things. I'm rooting for the guy. I like him. He went to Christ the King, one of the good friends of mine, coaches at Christ the King. But when I look at his footwork, it's average at best.
Yeah.
When I look at him, if I'm out there and he's guarding me, I'm going to beat him back door. Because everybody beats him back door.
That's his problem. That's why he's not playing.
When I want to see a box out, when I see a box out, I want to see him get an offensive foul because he was too aggressive boxing out, as opposed to a guy kind of nudging him in the shoulder to get an offensive rebound. He's lacking in the nuances.
Yes.
And the Warriors teach the nuances as well as any organization in the NBA. So
he'll get
it.
Would you generally agree that he's not fast when it comes to his reactionary speed?
Absolutely.
And I don't know how you improve that part of it. That's what
one of the things you do is you limit you limit the number of responsibilities, and I'm sure they are. It's 1, 2, or 3 things that they're asking him to do. That's it. You must do those things. And when he doesn't do those particular things, then he gets in a bad position with Kerr, his teammates, and all the other coaches. So, that's my take on it.
The game needs to slow down for him. The way the game slows down for him is playing. That's why I suggested minutes in the G League. Not so much that he's getting demoted, but he needs to play because he's 20.
Let me ask you one question, David, and I'm going to shut up. All right?
Yeah.
Do you think the coaching in the G League is as good as the coaching with the Golden State Warriors?
No, but they run the same system.
I don't.
They run the same offense.
Listen,
and Kerr trusts those guys down there, and they would send him down with a specific assignment. This is what we want Jonathan to do. We want you to work on his footwork on defense. We want to see him box out. We want to see him run the floor.
Dan, that's the equivalent. That's the equivalent of like some superstar player in baseball who is on a World Series team, and then the next year he's expected to be even better, and you're sending him down to like single A. You know, I don't know if you can do that.
I don't see the G League. I see it as AAA.
Well, whatever. Even AAA. Yeah. You're right. Your premise is sound. I agree that he needs time on the floor. He needs reps. But
he'll get some next week. He'll get some next week. He's going to get. Yeah. He's going
to get a lot of there's time. Enough. Believe me, the NBA season is eternal. Yeah, there's going to be enough minutes for everybody.
Back to backs, they're not going to play a lot of their guys.
The question though is, it's not just about. It's not. It's the debate over reps, which is clearly what the G League's best thing is, versus adapting to their system and fitting in with these guys in this rotation. I mean, it's an interesting thing, and it's like I will say this. I mean. They're asking a lot. They're trying to get a really young raw player with a lot of skills to, as kind of Frank said, kind of like do what Wiseman's done from the year 1 to year 3 now, which is, hey, year 1, do whatever you want. But year 3, don't do whatever you want. Do what we want you to do. And it's the same kind of thing with Jonathan. It's like, on one hand, yeah, it would be great for him to be able to do anything he wants. But I would argue, I guess, at the end of the day, if we're debating, and I could see it both ways. I really could. I could be convinced in both ways. But I kind of think of it as that's what the summer's for. The summer is for you to do it any way you want to do it and to get as many reps as you can get, while
he did. Larry,
that's what I'm saying, but that's what you do in the summer. In the season, it'd be better for him to stay up with the team, learn their rotations, do what they want him to do. And if they don't want him to do A, B, and C, then don't do A, B, and C. And he needs to kind of fit into what Kerr and the coaching staff thinks his role is going to be on this team. It's a trade-off though, right? Because he does, if he was allowed like free reign, I think he probably would get better faster, but he's on this team and this team is never going to give him free reign. So he needs to learn to fit into what they need from him, which I'll tell you the things that's a little frustrating watching him. He's one of the best athletes in the entire league.
Yeah.
And yet he doesn't have this mentality like he should. Like Gary Payton was trying to snuff you out like a candle. And he was just saying, you know what? I'm longer and I'm stronger and I'm quicker. And he took it personally and he got up on people and it was like, go by me. Like, I'm going to defend you at the half court stripe and force you to just harangue you. I think Kuminga's got such incredible athleticism and length that if he just had that Peyton mindset, he would be 3 times the player that he is. He doesn't realize that he could just totally engulf offensive players and turn off their water completely. And I would try to pump him up with confidence to be like, hey man, if you just do the things that I say you should do, you could be the best defender in the league. All the things that Lou Dort is doing for OKC, this guy could be doing for Golden State, right? I mean, he can do everything that Dort can do. And then some. He's even a little longer and a little quicker. But Dort's got this physicality and this attitude about it. And he knows that's his role, where Kuminga's like, hey, I could even be better than this. You know what I mean? There's like, I don't know.
I think you hit it on something, Larry, with his, being that he's 3 years away from his family, hasn't seen his family. Or how long it's been, 3 high schools earlier, they said in 3 years. The guy's moved around. He's kind of a guy who things have probably come very easy for him on the court. He's been the most athletic. He's probably been the star. where he's ever gone, and now he comes to the NBA, wins a title at age 19, comes back at age 20, and he's probably thinking, man, this is easy, and now he's saying, dang, these guys are hustling more. If I want to play and I'm not on a Detroit Pistons, I'm not Cade Cunningham where I can run the show. I got, all these stars I'm around. And I think Kerr's got a very good handle on it. Kerr will not break him to the point where he destroys him, but he'll push him enough to where he gets Jonathan mad, like he said tonight in the post game. Jonathan's angry, and I want him angry. But he's not going to I'm going to get him angrier by sitting him the next 3 or 4 games. Kerr's not going to do that. He knows when he has to pull back, and he'll move Kuminga to the right place. I think Steve's a master at knowing his players.
You got to take advantage of the opportunities that you get. Otherwise, Kerr will lose respect within the organization. I mean the team. And at the same time, Kuminga, like everybody else, he is an investment, right? So the people who's paying his check, he makes a lot of money. They want to see him hustle and be aggressive and do the things they're teaching as well. So I think your point is well taken, Dave, but I don't think they're asking him to do too much. They're asking him to just go out and perform his role.
A couple things. Rye is back. His computer crapped out. Now he's in the car.
Oh,
He looks like he's outside. Maybe.
The other day, I was dropping Rye off at his humble abode in Orinda, and we were talking in the parking lot, and a couple cops rolled up on us, and immediately we had to produce ID. And I mean, seriously, I'm sitting there. We're just talking in a parking lot. Next thing I know, yeah, it's Krueger, Croco, Romeo, Uco, Echo, Greco, Echo, Romeo. It's like what? So we actually
your license says the dude.
I'm like,
you didn't pull out your phone and show him the Krueg show? Hey, look, this is me right here.
I said, man, we're coming back from the Niner game. We're just talking over our game plan for our interviews tomorrow. He's like, no problem, fellas. But can you produce some ID? I pulled up next to you, and you guys kind of moved aside. I'm like, no problem, but
there are no humble abodes in Orinda.
Yeah, the mean street. It's amazing the mean streets of Orinda that we're still alive today. We're alive to talk about it.
I'd like to go to the Hofbräu in Orinda.
Oh,
that's
place
right.
Is good, man.
Oh, you talking about
place is good near the Nations?
Hell yes. You know whose favorite place that is? That's Donald Foyle's favorite place.
There you go, man.
It's Europa Deli. Europa Deli next to Nations.
This is so good. By the way, Quindary Weatherspoon, am I the only one that misses him? I want him back on the team. I'm Ty Jerome. Look, you're fine, but I prefer Quindary Weatherspoon. That's just me. I don't know.
I think we're getting echo because of.
Where's the echo coming from?
Sorry, so you and Quindarius have a few lunches or something? I mean,
how long have you and Quindary been seeing each other?
I've never spoken in my life, but the Warriors have a huge issue right now that was not solved tonight, and that's perimeter defense. Teams, and I know a lot of that has to do with aggression, but Quindary was always hustling out there. Defense was his strength. I don't think Ty Jerome. I know I'm questioning Steve Kerr. Who am I? But again, Quindary Weatherspoon would have helped with that, and I feel for the guy, man. I thought he was a great player, and I just don't like this Ty Jerome over.
Don't feel bad questioning Kerr. By the way, my buddy CK, who owns All Star Donuts in Walnut Creek. I go in there, and he's always like, "Hey, where's John Lund?" I'm like, "Fuck John Lund. What about me?" Stop talking about John Lund. God damn it. I mean, I don't want to hear about goddamn John Lund. No. But so after John Lund, he always be like, "Man," because he's Mr. Warrior. Like he shuts down his donut shop and he'll have like watch parties with his buddies in like the donut shop. So he's like, "Hey," he's like, "Come over, man. What you got to watch you got to watch it with me and my buddies," and then immediately he goes right into, "But man, they gotta fire that Steve Kerr, man." I'm like, CK, the guy's like one of the best coaches in basketball.
Ever.
I go, CK, do you realize if they fired him tomorrow, there'd be like 9 other coaches fired instantly just from teams that thought they would have a chance to bid for Kerr? And he's like, yeah, man, the team's good, and yeah, they won the title, but Kerr, man, he sucks, man. He sucks.
He does suck. Fucking fire him,
I'm
man.
like, my
He started
God.
3-2 this year. What
I'm
are
like,
we
CK,
talking about here?
I go, you remember
only
that
got
thing? They called it a
9 rings.
parade. Remember the parade?
I agree with your friend, Larry. Fuck her. Let's fire him. I'm on that train, man. We can do better.
CK wants him
Let's
out.
get Ty Lue, man. Let's try to steal Ty Lue from the Clippers. I'm all in.
Nah, man. No, why are we getting echo?
Lue,
We getting
yeah,
echo because of Ryan.
Ryan's the Echo Man. Ryan, you echoer.
I think I am the Echo Man.
I think you are, yeah.
Yeah, you're on the mean streets of Orinda.
Or Lafayette.
Seriously,
He's
you
actually
can get
Lafayette.
picked off. Oh, look at that.
Nations.
Oh, maybe he's gone. That was it. Picked off.
And now his watch has ended.
I think he's just
I
gonna
would
hit
say
the
if you're in
mute button.
Orinda, you got a better chance of being eaten by like a raccoon than have anybody actually screw with you.
He's actually Lafayette, not Orinda. He's close enough to Orinda, but
Lafayette.
yeah, he's Lafayette.
It's an amazing place.
Hey, I'll tell you the reason why. If you want to know the truth, why I believe Jerome is here instead of Weatherspoon was what you saw. That him taking that 3-point shot. I don't think Weatherspoon would have taken the shot.
I think he would have. It's just the ball handling and the pass first mentality. That's all it is.
I just don't you think they want a point guard, like a true point guard?
You wanted a Chioza. Like they lost Chioza. That was
But
the only.
Chioza was what, 6 foot?
Yeah, but he was a pass first point guard, and
Yeah,
Right.
that's what Jerome is. He's
Exactly.
a facilitator, and they like the length, because now you can switch.
Isn't Rajon Rondo out there? I think I'd rather have Rajon Rondo than having Ty Jerome, but maybe that's just me.
You don't want Rondo on your team.
Did you guys see the other scores around the league tonight? OKC
Yeah.
beat the Clippers again.
What are they playing 2 games in a row in OKC? What is this, like baseball? A series?
How about that, though?
I've never
OKC
seen
over the
that.
Clippers again,
No.
and Gilgeous Alexander is just a monster. He's
Why
just
do they-
always good.
Anybody know why they
beautiful
played
player,
2
man.
games in OKC? Like 2 games
yes,
in a
they're
row?
doing that now. Dan,
Yeah.
they do that. Yeah,
They're trying to eliminate the travel. And then
Exactly.
Why don't we
Mavericks
just play them all 3 times at once, get it over with.
Mavericks beat the Nets by 3 in the Barclays.
Great
and
game.
then
Overtime.
and then big triple double for Luka. 41, 11, and 14 dimes for Luka, 39 for Flat Earth. And then and then Grizzlies over the Kings at Golden 125, 110. All right, guys. Who's been to Golden 1 and Chase?
I will this year. I'm going to Golden 1. I want to check it out. You have, Carl?
Okay.
Yes.
How would you guys compare? How would you compare and contrast Golden 1 and Chase? Frank, what you've been to both? How many times you've been to what? Which one you been to more, Golden 1 or Chase?
Probably about the same. I've been to both of them probably about anywhere from 3 to 5 times.
Okay, I've been to I would say I've been to Golden 1 I think 3 times. I think I've been to Chase like 5 times.
Right.
I like Chase more for the scoreboard. The scoreboard at Chase is just
Huge.
crazy
Yeah.
awesome. But
Yeah.
I'll say this: the outside area of Golden 1 with the different restaurants and if you go like at the beginning of the season or at the end of the season where you get some nice nights in Sac. Man, that's nice. Right there in like kind of where the K Street Mall used to be.
Right.
And you can go dine outside and then go in there. I think I like the Kings Arena on the outside. I like the Warriors scoreboard. And I think the Warriors Arena is considered a better arena. But
It's interesting you say that because I actually think that the Chase Center and the surroundings is more majestic. I think it's bigger.
yeah.
And Golden 1 is more like you said, kind of like more community-esque where you got Chipotle over there and stuff like that. But the viewing of the games, the Golden 1, I think it has to be the best arena in the NBA.
Really?
Oh yeah, the Chase Arena is really steep. So if you're high up there, bring your glasses, all right?
Yeah.
And your binoculars. Golden 1, that's not a bad seat in the house.
Wow.
Because it's at a slope. It's at a
capacity of
slope.
Golden
It's
1?
not steep. I'm sorry?
What's the capacity at Golden 1?
18, 5, 19.
And-
Golden
and-
1
and-
also has a sunroof, doesn't it? Doesn't it have like a? Isn't Golden One open air on like one end of the upper deck? I thought. Yeah, I remember when there was all that smoke and the bad air quality. Did they have to cancel a game there because the air?
Yeah, I don't remember that, but
I don't remember that either. But that's interesting.
I'll just say from my experience.
Yeah, what did you think?
The viewing of a game at Golden One, like Red said, was absolutely majestic. Now, I was fortunate. I was sitting about 14 rows up, in and around center court, so it was good seats. Had a chance to go to the back room where they served the food. They had the national championship football game on. Having had a similar opportunity to go to Chase, I've sat in the 200 section where you are looking more straight down, where you tend to look at the scoreboard a lot more, kind of like being at Texas Stadium, and then being in like a one of the whatever they call their court seats where they're private, and you go behind the scenes and you get the food underneath and all that stuff.
The bunker suites. We went and stayed. Ray Ritter hooked us up a year ago, and we're like, "Hey, Joe Lacob wants to offer his suite to you guys for one night." Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Bravo.
So it was me and Mark Willard and our families, and we went into this bunker suite, which is literally right underneath the court. And you walk, and you're like you're like in this room that's like there's wainscoting. I mean, you feel like you're in like a Pacific Heights mansion. Like in somebody's kitchen. And then you've got this wall of TVs where there's like 12 monitors, and each of them is like a different game, or you could make it all the game, like one game, like a huge, multiple monitors. And then they're serving filet mignon in there and all kinds of incredible stuff, cocktails, and they walk you out. You walk like 2 steps out, and then another 3 steps, you get into your seat. Then there's like a concierge guy who's like constantly offering you like different food and items throughout the entire game. Like he's like holding up like, "Hey, would you like this? Hey, would you like that?"
Other people can't get.
It was amazing.
There's stuff that keeps other people from just getting to you. It's a beautiful experience. As you get a little higher at Chase, the experience is a little different than you might see at the Golden One. But let's just be honest. If you're in either of those buildings, it's amazing. The other thing is, if you are higher up at a Warrior game, the good news is the level of basketball is so much higher that you're still going to be drawn to.
I think they did it higher to keep the crowd noise with that
back in the old day at the Coliseum Arena. If you were up high, man, the only thing you got was guys twisting fatties up there in the upper deck. Guys smoking grass off a Coke can. You know what I mean? It's like in the upper deck.
I know my brother Steve. He sat courtside at the Golden One there. Sacramento, yeah.
You see the next guy that was puking? Remember that guy that was hurling last year?
Let me tell you something that's amazing. Well, and some of those arenas out at Arco and certainly at the Coliseum, I used to see so many talented would-be play-by-play guys literally practicing their play-by-play while the game was going on, and you could actually hear them. That's how it was like an echo chamber. So things have changed quite a bit at Chase and certainly in Sacramento as well.
Jackson J says Larry Sac State football 7-0. What's their secret?
There you go.
Isn't Troy Taylor? Maybe Troy Taylor. I think he's the head coach at Sac State, isn't he? Troy Taylor.
Yes.
Practice facility in that arena like it is with the Warriors.
Do the Kings practice at the Golden One?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. They do.
Wow. Yeah, that's a new thing. They're all doing that now. It's
fun. The locker rooms in both areas are just. I mean, they're ridiculous, man. It's like being, like you said, it's like being in a plush hotel. Hey,
it's so funny because I can remember when Arco Arena was built, and the old Arco was like it was like a barn, right? It was ridiculous. And then new Arco went in. It was the only thing in Natomas, so you could see it from like the airport. You could see it from downtown. You could be on Garden Highway. You could be at West El Camino. You could see Arco Arena from everywhere. Now there's so many homes built in Natomas that you would have a hard time finding Arco Arena. And I think they made it the sleep train deal. And then now I think it's going to be, I think my brother told me the other day that it's going to be like a health center of some kind, not a hospital. What's it called? Like urgent care, like an urgent care facility, which, heck, that if that's what they use it for, great. Right. I mean, heck, they could probably use that. That helps the community. But yeah,
I hear an echo.
Larry,
does that mean Ryan's back?
I saw something today that the Golden State Warriors are now the #1 franchise in terms of value by Forbes magazine.
I saw that.
$7
Number
billion.
one.
How much?
$7 billion.
Wow.
You know how much? You know what that
Over the Knicks, over the Lakers, the Bulls,
Correct.
and the Celtics.
That's a far cry from me high-fiving Frank saying, "Hey, Larry Hughes is coming to town."
Did you see in that article?
Larry Hughes.
In that article, it also revealed how much the Warriors earn in revenue each year. Did you see that number?
Yeah,
What is that number?
$800 million. So that's probably why they gave those huge extensions, among many reasons, to Wiggins and Poole. But
see, I mean, this is the thing, though. Would it really kill anybody to trim that down a little bit? I mean, come on. I mean, it's not really affordable anymore. I mean, I took my son and my daughter and my daughter's boyfriend. And, I got 3 tall beers. It was $52 for 3 tall beers.
But Larry,
I mean, is that, do we really need
Joe Lacob's suite? Come on, man.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that this time I wasn't. I was just at the game. And by the way, everybody was wearing their masks. But of course, you could take your mask down to sip your beer.
Right.
And every time I would take my mask down to sip my beer, this woman who had like multiple masks on would like turn to me and like give me the dirtiest look of all time. And I'm like, hey, I paid $50 fucking for these 3 beers. I'm like, let me drink it in peace, damn it. But it just seems like pro sports has gotten to a spot, and it's not just NBA, it's baseball, it's basketball, it's football. Danny could speak to it as a season ticket holder of the Giants. You cannot go with a family of 4 to a Giants game without spending, I would say, $600-700.
Can I contradict you for a second there? You can go to an A's game with a family of 4 and spend like probably $20 at the time you're alive.
Okay, but I'm just saying, do you see what I'm saying? I mean, Niner tickets, you know what it costs to go to a Niner game?
The A's Stadium, you could spend the night there. They're not going to buy it.
Yeah, the A's Stadium, heck, you might, you get tickets to the treehouse.
Things in the upper deck. I mean, this is
seriously. If you stay for more than 5 innings, you get to host a post-game show. You know what I mean? No, but I mean,
is Townsend alive?
Pro sports is okay, he's okay. He's doing all right.
Hey,
pro sports has gotten ridiculous. It doesn't need to be this much money. The players don't need to make this much money. It doesn't need to cost this much money. You're pricing people out. It's like, and we all know it, and we just look the other way. What's that?
They can come to the post game show. They can afford it. All they need is a subscription.
No, but you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Warriors.
Does it? Well, couldn't it be just like, I don't know, maybe $27.50 for 3 beers? Does it have to be $52? Does the arenas have to be opulent? Does every? I mean, most of your fans are totally 100% priced out. Is that okay? I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you this, the Warrior games are always expensive. I can remember when I was in high school, I asked my parents for, tickets to the Warrior game, and they're like, maybe for your birthday, because the tickets were like $45 to sit, like even in the upper deck or the upper part of the arena. It was Warrior games have always been expensive. But I mean, now we're getting to a point where thousands of dollars,
$40
for a basketball game.
40.
Yeah, how much?
40 for parking.
That's nothing. I've seen people park at Oracle Park for the Giants games. Some people pay $80 to park.
Man. That's fucking outrageous.
$80.
My Lord.
I'm just saying. I mean, I know it sounds kind of like complaining and this and that, but
it is.
I don't. But I mean, no. It just.
That's why people need to know Dan.
It's
so they can
distorted.
get
It's
their
got-
money put together
That's right. That's
Got a
right.
little
gotten
bit
distorted.
more cash, a little bit more working capital.
Yeah,
Let's get
exactly.
that commercial for Big
I mean,
Red.
you could
I'll double your money in 7
if you're not a
years.
person of means, you're not going. You're not going unless
Fair.
someone's giving you tickets.
Well, I had this theory that I feel like one of the best ways you could ever have home court advantage is if you like for in the playoffs you gave the courtside seats. This is not realistic, but a fantasy of mine. You gave those courtside seats to the people that had the highest seats possible in the arena because you know those are true fans who are just going to be making noise. You might get a threat or two toward a player and freak
You'll
them
have
out.
beer
I would
all over the
love-
floor.
I would love it. I would love that. That's my dream. It will never be a reality, but
Well, doesn't that bug you though when some guy spills a beer and they got to stop the game because he spilled a beer on the, right on the court
or
side?
pukes on the court. I mean, remember that guy in Sacramento? He's like vomiting endlessly.
Really?
Remember that? They
No.
stopped the whole game for like 30 minutes.
You
And he
were
just-
out
it's
of it,
just- yeah,
Larry.
just-
You were
just-
so bad you don't even remember it happened. It was you.
That's the other thing. It's funny you said that because I went to a Warrior game a couple of years ago, and this woman just got so tanked that she was stumbling around on the stairs, and then somebody tried to help her up, and she yacked right there all over the stairs. I was like, Jesus, man! I mean, it's like a Warrior Jazz game, and you're just getting freaking tanked. I mean, it's like. That's the other thing I've never understood. If you want to have a beer at a game or have one beer, who's like, I want to be obliterated. I want to be.
I've seen that.
I
Yeah,
don't
we've all
want to
seen that.
remember this game ever again. It just seems like, wouldn't it be easier just to save your money and not spend so much money?
The one that gets me are the people that want to get on the field. Did you guys see the college game where the cameraman tried to go over the top rope and made a tackle on a guy who got onto the field?
No.
I didn't see
Oh,
that.
my
Did you,
God.
hey, Carl, did you see
Google it.
Bobby Wagner when the Niners played the Rams and a guy ran on the field and he had like a smoke bomb torch or something,
Yeah.
and then Bobby Wagner kind
the
of gave him a
pink
hip
dude,
check.
The pink
Yeah.
guy.
Man.
Yeah.
It's
I
funny. We
will tell
were
you.
having this segment in the locker room, and we were playing around with some of the guys, and we're like, "Hey, we're going to call it our real fun segment." And the real question was going to be, how do you really feel when you see fans run on the field? Don't give me some BS answer. Tell me how you actually feel. And most of the guys were like, I hate those people. It was like, they wasn't like, hey man, they, do what you got to do. The players do not think that's cool. They're not endorsing that in any way.
Wait until you see the video. Google the video. I think it might have been Texas Tech. I mean, literally, the guy was a cameraman.
I think I got it
working
right
on
here.
the field, and he literally went like he was going over the top.
Was it a
rope.
Penn State? Was it Penn State?
Might have been. All I can tell you was he tried to go for the knockout punch. He tackled the guy. He went like upper shoulders in the air, kind of missed him, but caught a little bit, and then he dragged him down by his feet till security got there.
Let's see this one.
Larry,
Is
do
that
you have
it?
the ability to share?
That's it. That is it.
Well,
Look
hey,
at that hit, man.
by the way, before Bobby Wagner hit that guy, the security guard tore his ACL trying to chase the guy down.
Wow.
Yeah. He tore
Actually,
his ACL.
that was the report, ACL, but it was a hammy.
Was it a hammy?
He popped a hammy.
Oh,
Yeah,
because he grabbed his knee and kind of buckled and went down.
Kittle said
That might be worse.
It was the head. It was some guy on the Niners security. He was head of security for the Niners or something, and he popped his hammy.
Nothing. So here's my story that I can relate with.
Debo.
My buddy, I got a buddy who he's playing in a golf tournament, right? So he's done playing in the golf tournament and he's putting his clubs in his trunk and he takes off his golf shoes and puts on some flip-flops. And the girl drives by and is like, hey, get on the green. They're doing they're doing a putting contest right now for money. And you had one of the best drives, so you're in the contest. So he gets in the golf cart, takes off, goes up to the green, gets on the green, has to shoot this putt. It's like a 25-foot putt for cash, sinks the putt, right? jumps up with his flip-flops, blows out the Achilles.
Oh,
Ruptured Achilles.
are you
His
serious?
wife is driving him around for 6 months.
Oh my God.
6 months. Jumping in flip-flops after playing a round of golf in his golf
Is this
shoes.
a fat guy? Like, we talking dad bod? Really fat? I mean,
No, really lean guy. I mean, dad, like probably 50, but
okay.
pretty
Jesus
lean guy.
Christ, man.
Commercial real
awful.
estate guy. Yeah.
Shit, what are you gonna do with that?
I'll tell you, the only injury, like when I'm on the treadmill, because I got the treadmill in the garage, the only time I ever think about anything, I'm like, do not blow your Achilles,
Right.
because
That's why I stopped
that's one
playing
of the,
ball. Yeah, I stopped playing
well,
basketball.
because if you just feel it tightening on you, or and stiffening up on you. I mean, it's from what I've heard. I mean, I guess Fitz was telling me that when you do have an Achilles surgery, that they kind of like staple your new Achilles in there. So like you're never going to have a second one, right? It's like locked in there basically. Like Klay,
Locked on Warriors.
Locked on. No, but supposedly there's no concern about Klay hurting that again because it's like all locked in together.
But that's happened though. People have retorn the same Achilles tendon, so that is possible.
I don't know if it's a new thing,
okay.
but I was just told that at least for his that it won't be a reoccurring thing. But overall, what did you guys think of? What do you guys think so far from watching Klay just in the early season and last year? Do you think that he's going to get to another level? Do you think that we're seeing what he is and that's the level that we just should get used to? He doesn't seem at all like the same player defensively, for sure. He doesn't have that lateral agility.
I disagree, Larry. I disagree
like him
with that
defensively.
I think defensively he's actually fine. I don't
think he's the same.
The last 3 games of the NBA Finals, I saw the old Klay defensively. He was locking people down, and then this season, people are not blowing by him. He's actually not the reason for whatever defensive issues they have. At least for the most part, I did see a player or two tonight, but. No, for me, it's just he just needs to get his rhythm going offensively. I think he's going to be great. I foresee great things from him. I mean, tonight, and what do you have? 19 points total. He after his, he had
on 19 shots though.
I'm sorry.
On 19 shots.
Yeah, 19 shots. Yeah, but again, this is a player who did not go through his normal routine. His
he was 6 of 19.
Yeah, he's clearly not there yet in terms of just his game.
Give him till December. And
we'll give him a month, a month. I think the 20-game mark that we keep talking about.
Yeah,
I think for Klay, that's where we're going to see old Klay. I really do.
Yeah.
I would bet hard money on that.
Yeah, I think he's a good player. I think he's going to be good, but I mean, I hope he gets back to that level and proves me wrong. But I recently watched a video. I think it was on YouTube of Klay in Game 6 against OKC. He was probably 12 to 15 pounds lighter than he is right now.
He looked lighter.
He's a much bigger player now.
True.
And I think that the recoil on his shot, from his lower extremities and everything, it was just like automatic. This guy was unbelievable.
So he hits the front rim a lot now.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player, but whether or not he'll be an all-star again, I don't know. He doesn't have to be. He just needs to be, just a really, really solid, smart basketball player. And I think that he can still play championship caliber basketball. He's been in the league 11 years.
His shot still is really sweet, though.
No, he can handle the ball. Oh, yeah.
And that last 3 he made tonight was awesome. Yeah. And again, he's still putting up numbers. I mean, last game was awful, where he went 1 for 8 overall or something like that. But I mean, he still put up 19 points tonight. Last season, he still averaged 20.4 in the regular season. He averaged just over 19 in the postseason. I mean, and last year was not supposed to be the year where he came back to his old form. This was the year, but then the offseason routine did not happen that where he almost every offseason plays pickup basketball, right? That's part of his routine. And a lot of people are creatures of habit where that's how we're in our happy place. And Klay lost that this offseason. So I think we should give him just a little more time because he's clearly frustrated by the minute restrictions. He's not getting into the normal rhythm. I think, Dan, you pointed it out last show when you're eating dog food. We haven't talked about that yet, by the way. Dan, Coach
Dan
Emilio,
ate
he's
dog
awesome.
food after you guys left, by the way, for money.
Yeah,
for money.
like literally. We're
Wasn't
not
dog
no
food, it was
hyperbole here. This is a straight
human
fact.
grade.
He keeps saying human grade, but it was
It says
dog
it right
food.
on the box. You think
It was dog food.
it was not. It said it's
It
human
was
grade.
no. It was dog food.
I'm
Let
gonna
the
bring
jury
the box-
decide, Dan.
I'm going to
Let
bring
the-
the box out again.
Bring the box out.
This is what I'm eating right now, though. This is good stuff.
That's
That is good
also
stuff. That
dog
is-
food.
No, it's
That is
not.
good stuff.
This
No,
is
show us the
from
human
Costco.
grade dog food, man.
I'll
Show-
get you
show-
the box.
Yeah,
But I
show
am
us
not.
the dog food that you
I'm
were
not
eating.
eating it unless I get $1,000 tonight.
Fair. You already did that. That's done.
He's thinking about eating it. What do you guys make? Hey, what do you guys make of Miami? Because it's interesting. They've got Tyler Hero shot 3 of 12 tonight. Duncan Robinson 1 of 7. So those guys 4 of 19, 2 of 10 on threes. And it's like they're a weird team because if you catch them on a night where Robinson and Hero have the shots falling, this can look like one of the premier teams in the East. And yet when you catch them on a night like tonight, when those shots are not falling, they look like they are a good distance away from the top tier teams in the East. So where do you put Miami? How confident are you that and by the way, Spoelstra is like widely considered year after year to be the best coach in the NBA.
He's one of them.
Do you think he is?
One of them. Yeah.
But he gets the top billing, and he has by NBA general managers have given him the top billing, I believe, last 2 or 3 years in the survey.
I
His
put
team's
Miami,
always prepared and they execute.
I put them 3 or 4 in the East.
I mean, they lost. They didn't get anyone this offseason. Like, they didn't make any big moves. They lost PJ Tucker, who played big minutes for him last year. So you can't expect him to really be a better team unless Tyler Hero takes a big step forward. Duncan Robinson regressed last year, and he didn't show me anything tonight that indicates otherwise. I mean, the Heat are basically like, they're someone that's going to finish, or a team that's going to finish 3rd, 4th, 5th in the East. The thing with Spoelstra and the reason why he gets so much accolade, besides the fact that his track record is just wildly successful with 3 titles, I mean, his players overachieve, his teams overachieve, and they play defense. They're such a defensive-oriented team, and team defense in the NBA is something you coach, right? I mean, it's all about timing with your players, playing on a string. We've heard that, analogy before, but really just the fact that you're switching consistently, making sure everyone is covered on a routine basis. The Heat do it on the defensive end. They're routinely fantastic there, and that starts with coaching. So I get it, but they're not a championship contending team either. So.
No.
Well, it's interesting you say that because go ahead, Foss. I'll finish up and you go ahead. Go ahead, Foss.
I was just going to say, I love the zone that they played, Cyrus. I loved how the circular fashion was forcing the Warriors to take deep perimeter shots.
Right.
And because right now in the Warriors, they're 2 starting post players, even if they flash middle, which was open, neither one of them is really ready to catch the ball at their backs to the basket and turn and make a move or turn and set up a fadeaway. Draymond, if he's facing the basket, will shoot that runner. But there's a couple of times that Looney could have got it, maybe took a look on one side, ripped through with some footwork, took one dribble and went to the basket. But since that's not a part of their primary offense, they didn't do it.
Can you demonstrate that move for us, Carl? You got your basketball?
Yeah. Catch it.
No, I want
left.
Okay, there we go.
Step through with that opposite foot, and you'll be right there. I love teaching football. One of my favorites.
And then, Dan, you have to eat some dog food now for doing like a biscuit, right? You're gonna eat that human grade.
Look, this is human. What is that box?
There it is.
Human.
Now, what you did notice,
It says pet food on it. Pet food.
Human grade.
Yeah, but it's pet food.
Yeah, but it also says
That just means you won't die. It's not for humans. It's for pets. It's pet
I think it
food.
says that.
What part of pet food is hard to understand?
I think it says that to like assuage your pets and your guilt in feeding your pets something that is high grade. Like it's
that
human.
right there.
We don't. Come on.
We're gonna stay away from that.
Yeah, we're not going to touch it. No, this is
You're
for
not
my
gonna touch
dogs.
that.
This is
Danny
for my
started
dogs.
barking afterwards. He laid on the
Don't
linoleum
go
the
there,
entire.
Larry.
He slept on the linoleum.
This is like at 1 a.m, guys. This is when
It was almost 2 actually. Or yeah, it was pretty late. Yeah.
This is when the degenerates are speaking to the degenerates.
He started panting.
Oh, by the way, real quick, Stephen Curry also addressed the Jonathan Kuminga lack of playing time. I'm just seeing this right now. And on Locked On Warriors tomorrow, we'll play all these sound bites. So he said his message to Kuminga was, "We've all been there." So it was actually being encouraging towards Kuminga. And then Klay Thompson answered a question. I wish I could play these sound bites from here. So Klay Thompson addressed Charles Barkley's criticism. Remember Barkley on the last Inside the NBA show said that both Klay and Draymond are peaked, like they're past the prime, and Klay's like not having that at all. So that should be a fun.
What is Klay saying about it? Do you know?
I haven't listened to it yet. I'm seeing the captions right now, and he's just saying, he's just kind of laughing at it, at that notion. He's like, look, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Do
you think? Here's the thing. We all know there are people that are like this. They cannot handle the different seasons of their life. Right. And you see it in pro sports. How well do you think Draymond and Klay will be able to handle the fall and winter of their lives, of their NBA lives?
Man, he's 32. I know he had the injuries, but he's 2 years older.
But how long do you think he's going to play? 3 more years? 4 more years?
38. I think he'll go to 38.
I would say 4 more years max.
Why would he stop playing in 4 years? What's the reason?
Well, I just think he'll slow down. And I think NBA athletes, how many guys outside of LeBron James have had a lot of success 35 and over?
But Klay can play for a long time because he can shoot. That's a skill that's not going to go away.
He may not be. He'll be your
How will these guys handle, though, do you think, the regression when they're going to have to, when they're going to have to take some of the, the Devin Booker chatter, you're the past, I'm the future, that kind of stuff. Do you think they'll be able to deal with the decline?
They're also on the 4.
I think,
are you saying you think they might? What are you asking? Are they going to go postal on people or?
No, I'm just saying it's like some guys have a hard time. It's like I've actually heard general managers talk about this in other sports, that when guys do decline, that it's easier for them to accept the decline if they are in a different locker room or a different clubhouse than if they're in the same one and their role changes because their status changes within the group because their skills erode. So it's easier to it might be easier for Madison Bumgarner to accept that he's just a guy in Arizona than if he had stayed with the Giants. I don't know.
Those GMs have not been in the Chase Center locker room because you want to stay in that locker room. That's a pretty beautiful place. But on a serious side, I'm kind of like Cyrus. I think Klay, because he is a shooter and a tall shooter, could play until he was 40 if that's what he wanted to do. The question that guys like him have to ask is, what more is there to accomplish? They after maybe they get to 36, 37 years of age, they can still play, but do I want to be a bit player potentially, or do I want to be able to walk away and say, hey, I was pretty close when I left the game to the guy I was at my peak? Because at 32, you're not in your quote unquote prime. You should be somewhere between 27 and 28, hitting your prime, maybe extending it into your early 30s. But about 32, let's say you are on the downside of your prime, you're still going to be right around an all-star level player. And depending on how successful your team is, you might be still making all-star games. So I think he's in good stead. Draymond has the benefit of what makes Draymond so great are all the things that he does, like tonight, to impact the game. He could do that as long as his body will hold up. So
Max says Warriors should trade for LeBron. LOL for Draymond Green.
Ray Allen Klay could be like a Ray Allen. Ray
exactly.
played 38.
My prediction is Klay will retire when Steph retires. I somehow see those two kind of fading off together, but that's just a wild prediction.
Now, Steph is a guy, I agree with you, Carl, as far as prime, usually.
Where'd Carl
age.
go, man? Where'd you go, Carl? Come
Carl,
back.
What happened to Carl?
There he is.
Yeah, he was doing a pivot move.
Just doing a pivot.
Carl was ordering room service.
Carl just did a jump stop. And then,
can I get 2 burgers?
Hampton Inn. If you're staying at the Hampton Inn, they have the complimentary breakfast. Don't forget, stay
if you
at
guys
the
like
Hampton
Red
Inn.
Robin, they have a really good deal going on right now, man.
Are they a sponsor, Larry? Hampton Inn?
No, they aren't. But when I took the family to Disneyland, it was kind of nice to have the complimentary breakfast, courtesy of the Hampton Inn.
You want to do a fake commercial right now and send the real to them? Be like, hey, this could be.
Hey, you want to save money? Go to the Hampton Inn because you don't have to pay for breakfast for your.
You do. It's just included
for your teenagers.
And the breakfast is delicious.
Go down there and eat waffles till you puke. All right, get down there.
The rooms are comfortable. The beds are just.
Oh, they have good beds. I like Hampton Inns. Yeah. Hey,
big
so
TVs.
Here's where I would say about Steph is just a different dude, just a freak of nature. The guy's 4 this year or 35? He's 34, right?
Correct.
Yeah. He's still
35 March 12th.
Yeah.
14.
He is still ascending, I believe, and it's because he's a late bloomer and his body type is he's so much stronger than when he was, in the first championship. I mean, you look at him, he can set screens, he can take a lot of falls and stuff. So I think Steph right now, if you're just looking at Steph's game, odds are he cools off, but he's averaging 33 and he's hitting close to 45, 50% from 3 this year, which, man, if he can just, I think he's ticked off that he didn't hit 40% last year for the first time in his career.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I bet he's 42, 43 for the year.
Let me ask you guys a question. How many wins on this year's roster? If Stephen Curry is not on the team, how many wins does this Warriors team get?
1
48.
Right now.
47, 48.
For the year.
Without Steph. Okay. Wow.
47, 48.
That's high, man. That's a really high number.
I would say 40. I'd say 45.
I'd say 38.
I think the roles would change, but I look at the guy like Jordan Poole has the ability to average between 23 and 25 points a game. His role would change, but I think he has the right mentality. It wouldn't always look pretty, but I think he could get it up there. Now the question I want you guys to think about is how much better a player is Stephen Curry when Draymond Green is on the court? I don't think I've ever seen 2 guys as seamless, instinctive as they are offensively. So, a lot of times I hear talk about Draymond decreasing. Man, that guy's intuitiveness about basketball. I mean, we don't have stats yet to really codify how good this guy is. I mean, it's magic. It's instinctive.
You know who he reminds me of? Carl, when I watch Draymond and Steph?
Kathy Ireland.
There's only one guy that I've ever seen really dedicate himself night after night after night to blending with one other player as seamlessly as Draymond blends with Steph Curry.
Who's that?
And you guys know basketball really well, so I'll just throw it out there. Who is the one player in our lifetime who absolutely blended to the player that he played with to adapt to the unique skill set of that player and to maximize the team output?
Scottie Pippen.
No.
I would say John Stockton.
Yeah, Stockton.
No, I was gonna say the guy who played opposite Iverson in Philly.
Oh, yes.
Eric Snow set up Allen Iverson expertly, and he was committed to it night after night after night. And Iverson would move all over the place like whirling dervish. He's in the corner. Eric Snow would get the ball from him when he would run into the corner, give it right back to him. He played off of Iverson like that. His whole purpose was to play off of the answer. And that
was such a good point he made. You should take a bite of that biscuit. Come on, man. Thank you. That was such a great point.
But Green will play off of Steph that way.
I thought you were going to say Sam Bowie.
Steph dribbles into a corner. Steph dribbles into a double team. Green will sprint to the open spot, flash his hands, get it to him, get it right back, get it from him, get it right back to him. And it's like, it's amazing. There's times when Steph Curry's going to take shots from a whole nother part of the floor on an assist from Draymond, and there's like 5 seconds on the shot clock, and he's on the other side of the floor. I mean, he'll like throw it to Draymond, and then sprint to the other corner. Draymond will find him, and he'll just immediately catch and hoist. It's an amazing thing. I love watching the two-man game, and Stockton Malone played the two-man game incredibly, and there was many others through the years. But to me, Snow made Iverson that much better, and I think Green's so committed to Steph that's the one.
I said after the even before the incident with Poole, but more so afterwards, I think you're going to see the best version of Draymond Green this year because he's got so much to prove, and he wants to not only prove it to everybody else, but he wants to prove it to himself because he's really. I think the thing shook him up. I really do. I think what happened shook him up to the point where it's like, man, my legacy is tarnished because of what I did. And I think he's going to be a great teammate this year. I think he's going to – you're seeing a different version of his offensive game this year. He looks quicker. He's got a bounce to him. I think you're just going to see him focus on basketball and less on some of the other things side stuff that he did. And it's also going to be not just that, but his contract. He's playing for his career going forward. And he's got to show that he's still, a really great player. And I think in a way, it could turn out to be kind of a blessing in disguise. I hate to say it that way, but I think Draymond is going to, and I've been probably the most critical of Draymond of a lot of people out there last year. I was very critical of him last year in the playoffs, but I'll give credit where he's due. I think he's going to play great. He is playing great right now, and I think he's going to do it all year.
He actually texted me the other day. He said, "Was that Dan Coach Emilio?" Yeah, I gave him even the code to the 55 and over community. So if you see Draymond walking through the 55 and over community, I would say fucking run. I mean, because when Draymond descends on La Boca Vista, there will be hell to pay for Dan Coach Emilio. That would be an awesome sitcom. Draymond seeking out Dan Coach Emilio in an over 55 community in Arizona.
We get Larry David to play Dan.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great call.
It's like the Crazy Eyes Killer episode. Remember when he called info and he's like, "Yeah, it's Crazy Eyes Killer. I think it's Killah. Maybe it's crazy with 2 E's." I mean, just
guys could play certain roles. I think I don't know if Cy could play it. He kind of looks a little bit like Bill Murray, but I think Larry could play Bob. And what about Bob? I think you could kill that. I think you can kill that.
Come on now.
Dr. Marvin. Dr. Leo Marvin.
Guys, we've been going for an hour and 42 minutes. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We'll get some final thoughts from everybody around the room. But we'll pay our bills with our ads right here, and we'll come back for a final thought. And there's a couple. By the way, for those of you who wanted to know, yes, I did cover my Utah Wazoo 2-teamer parlay. I took the Utes plus a half. Under 60, and it was 21-17 Utes.
How did you know to bet that?
Here's the thing. I'm a huge fan of the Utes. I watched them a bunch this year. I love their quarterback Cam Rising. So I bet them. I tuned into the game, And they're like, Cam Rising, surprisingly, not playing tonight. And he's standing there on the sidelines. And I had to gut it out with some sophomore quarterback I never even heard of, Brian Barnes. So, you win some, you lose some tonight. I got a little fortunate. All right, let's play some commercials right here. We'll be back in a moment on the Krueg Show. Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, TELMETRIX.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coach Emilio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Tony Cassera and the good people at Cassera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Cassera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know? That life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 7 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York Style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never going to deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
And do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
You know that it's the New York style Italian sausage commercial.
Man, the wink.
Do yourself a favor and do me a favor.
Yeah.
And the recipe comes from New York, Connecticut.
By the way, Larry,
Yes.
let's hope that Elon Musk does not buy
Twitter.
any of our stuff. Oh, he bought Twitter tonight.
That's already over. Yeah.
The CEO and all the top executives, their heads got lopped off like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, true.
Man, if they buy my channel, the only person I'll allow them to fire is Danny.
Well, maybe he'll let us get verified, Lair.
I call seriously on that. He's going to be the last person who gets fired because he pays how much?
Yeah, Danny. It's just Dan. The whole show. It's like, where's the other? Here we go. We got this. What if we come back and then from the show from now on is this? What happened? Wait a second. It was the Krueg show. What happened to the Krueg show? What the hell? What the hell's going on around here? All right.
Sausage, man. I'm just hungry.
Oh, man. Oh, gosh. Okay. GTC Reels, the wink makes my night complete. There you go. Let's get the chat here on the end. Romo 2001, he carries enough cash on him to buy the Warriors.
Can we get Pascal on the show?
Yeah, we might be able to get Pasquale on. Pasquale, Corleone, Gilbert.
I apologize.
Pasquale Siakam.
We get this from Max. His sigh wasn't shown because he was laughing hard. Yeah. A couple thoughts before we. First of all, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers lost on Thursday Night Football, guys. Yeah. 27-22.
Poor Tom Brady, or just Tom Brady?
I just said Tom Brady, but,
I know, but
3 and
poor Tom Brady. He's going through a divorce.
Well, here's the question. This is the question. Okay, the Bucs are now 3-5. Lamar Jackson gets the win. He threw for a couple touchdowns, 238 yards, 27-22 Ravens. Tampa's 3-5. And is there a chance that Tom Brady, before the November 5th NFL trade deadline, which is basically a week away.
I think it's the first, isn't it? Right?
I think it's the 5th. I think it's next week. Which I guess both those are next week, right? Today's the 27th. I think it's next Thursday, maybe. I'm not really sure. But I thought it was November 5th. Will Tom Brady ask to be traded? And if he does ask to be traded, would the 49ers trade Jimmy Garoppolo to Tampa?
Don't tease me, man.
And then Tom Brady could finish his career in his backyard.
Don't tease me.
Playing for the team that he grew up rooting for.
November 1st.
The Niners can take one run at the ball.
4 o'clock. Yeah.
They could take one run at the ball with Tom, and then Tampa would be getting at least, like, Tom is probably done at the end of the year, and they're looking at Kyle Trask and Blaine Gabbert. At least if they made this trade, they may be able to kind of solidify themselves going into the offseason, either with a Garoppolo going into next year or, at least the idea that they could stay with Garoppolo if they wanted to. They could always go into the draft. But what do you think? Do you think Tom Brady's been screaming at his offensive linemen? The Tampa O-line is disintegrated. The whole offense is to throw it down the field. He's 45. He's taking hits. The Niners need somebody who can be super accurate, short underneath, distributing to all these weapons. That seems almost ideally suited to the empty set Tom Brady offense that he executed in New England. If Jason Licht, the general manager of the Tampa Bay Bucks, calls John Lynch and says, I will give you Tom Brady for Jimmy Garoppolo and some pick of some kind.
Yes.
Let's say the day 3 pick. Yeah. The question is, would John Lynch do it?
Yes.
Oh, of course. And wait, let me get this one off, because the thing is, It seems insane, and
Wait
it
a second.
absolutely
I see. There's a young protester, I believe, that's joined our.
I've chained myself to a tree.
Yeah,
Chained myself to a tree.
Is this a peaceful protest? All right.
It is.
Don't hurt anybody. Okay, go ahead.
But anyway, yeah, I've chained myself here until they trade for Tom Brady. No, but it actually makes sense if you think about it. Although it is crazy, it's like, okay, Jimmy G and Tom Brady have the same agent. They could just get one agent in the room with John Lynch. Tom Brady, I don't think is done. I think this is more just like this is like his last year with the Patriots when he doesn't trust his weapons. He kind of checks out. And what is Tom Brady like? Tom Brady needs Gronk. Well, Gronk's gone. Who's the next best thing? George Kittle. He needs a nickel. He needs a nickel back. He can throw two out of the backfield. Needs a James White type. How about the best version of that ever in NFL history in Christian McCaffrey? Weapons. He likes to throw across the middle. That's what this offense is built for. And they have a great defense. And it's in San Francisco. So, also, and then there's Aaron Rodgers, who also is saying he might retire. And hell, he's about to be 3-5 after they get blown out by the Bills on Sunday night. So, I don't know.
Jimmy G is the best quarterback for a team that's 3-5. You can convince him he can get you to the NFC Championship game if you're 3-5.
Well, it is weird though. Brady has been screaming at his linemen in a way that almost makes you think that he's done. Like that he's maybe losing the room. And I think the 49ers have this vibe. I think John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan know that obviously Trey's the long-term guy. They're in a lame duck situation with Garoppolo. Garoppolo is very popular in the locker room, but he's also very flawed as a player. And I just think that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are keenly aware that they are the equivalent of made men in San Francisco or in Santa Clara with the York family if they get that 6 Lombardi. If Kyle whatever GM and coach puts a 6 Lombardi in the trophy case in Santa Clara is basically going to be able to call their shots, I think. Oh. And so if I'm John Lynch and I'm Kyle Shanahan, what is the best way for them to actually develop Trey the way Trey needs to be developed?
Bring in Brady.
It's to win the Super Bowl this year with Brady and then appease that in and of itself will appease Jed and the fans. And then you can give Trey Lance a long, runway to improve. And if you want to keep Brady around next year for one more year as a backup to Lance or some transition to Lance, you probably could. But I think if they get that Super Bowl win, Kyle's set, John's set, they can develop Trey at Trey's pace. I think it makes all the sense in the world to pivot off of Garoppolo and go to Brady if Tampa is eager or willing to go down that road. I wouldn't throw day 1 or day 2 picks.
What will I do with my hat, though?
If it's Tom Brady for Jimmy Garoppolo and a 6th-round pick, I'm doing it.
I'd do it for a 2nd-round pick. Bring Brady in, please. First of all, MILF Hunter, if that stat is true, MILF Hunter.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan is 1-30 by trailing by 3+ points entering the 4th quarter.
Yeah, but if you look at some of the other coaches, what's Belichick like 4 and?
Yeah, somebody tweeted that out. Like Belichick's like 4-27, McVay's like 2-28, Harbaugh.
It's not a stat. It's kind of a misleading stat.
Okay, I see. Okay,
yeah.
So it's not as bad.
Hey, I was looking at the trade situation the other night. I was looking at Aaron Rodgers' contract because I thought the same thing. What's that?
Do you want to trade for Mike Trout?
Oh, yeah.
Danny in July made 19 trades in a row for Mike Trout.
So
every night we're doing these Giants post games, and Danny would throw out some trade involving the Giants landing Mike Trout.
Mm-hmm. I did one.
The 17 days of Trout.
No. Here's the thing. I don't think Rodgers' contract is tradable unless he were to completely restructure it going forward, because Green Bay is going to be awful with in the next few years because his cap hit like next year is $59 million. It's unreal. Ooh. And they have Green Bay is just it's going to be tough to trade him.
Did you see what Bill Barnwell wrote? Bill Barnwell from ESPN.com says the 49ers should extend Jimmy G and trade Trey Lance to the Falcons for Kyle Pitts.
Barnwell, he's so overrated.
Kyle Pitts is so overrated.
Hey, speaking of,
I don't know about that, but
I wish Rye was at his home because he could play this. There was the funniest thing. Kittle is hilarious. They had him up against the Chiefs, and he just pancaked the guy, just like he just buried him into the ground. And the guy goes, he's getting in, and he gets the guy goes, "Oh man, I must have tripped. Someone tripped my foot or something." And Kittle goes, "No, that was all me." Listen to this. It's right here. I don't know if you can hear it. This is.
I got you so good. I got you. You see that? I made him jump.
That's the wrong video.
Incredible production quality for your show, Larry. By the way,
Did you hear that at the end?
The guy who Kittle blocks it. Oh, I tripped or something, right? And he said,
"Yeah,
that was all
listen,
me."
Play it again.
I got you.
Ryan, you got to let Dan just have sharing permission or something so we can see these videos.
Oh, he does.
I don't know how to put it on though.
I done tripped over somebody's foot. No, you didn't. That was all me.
I must have tripped on somebody's foot. No, you didn't. It was all me.
I mean, I'll tell you what. If Kyle Pitts got here and was just really dedicated to learning under Kittle and learning how to block, then I'd be down for it. But right now, it's like he's just a receiver.
Well, not just Bill Barnwell. That's just Bill Barnwell saying that.
What's the trade ultimately, though?
Maybe we can take Pitts here and have him work out with Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. How good would if Jonathan Kuminga was a football player, how crazy of a tight end would he be?
Oh, he's like Trey Lance.
What does Jonathan Kuminga weigh? What does he weigh?
Probably like 220.
Yeah.
220. So you're talking about 6'8", 220 with so much more athleticism than your typical 6'8" NFL player. Imagine if you threw a ball up to Kuminga in the corner in the end zone. I mean, he would look super rail thin in a football uniform. I mean, like crazy thin. But I mean, nobody could jump with him at 6'8". You'd have a hard time defending that.
Did you see that tight end tonight for Baltimore? Likely.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely. Rye actually called it in the drive home. He said Isaiah Likely's going to have a big fantasy night, and sure enough, he had a touchdown.
You saw Andrews go out, right? Go down.
Yeah, Andrews went out.
Well, because Andrews was like doubtful to play at one point. It seemed like.
Oh, was he? What happened?
Now, Ryan, we can't play any of the Niner clips, right?
Ah, crap! No, we can't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll have to do that another night.
Maybe we do that tomorrow.
Guys, final thoughts on the night. Big win for me as a gambler. Big win for the Warriors over Miami. Big win for the Ravens in Tampa against Tom Brady. But what stood out to you? Final thought as we move it around the room. Go ahead, Ryan.
I have a final thought for Carl. How did it feel watching your boy Gabe Vincent? Just like, I can't believe how he's made it to the league like this. It's seriously, it's crazy.
I can tell you, Frank and I remember when he first came to the Soldiers out of St. Mary's High School in Stockton. And I remember the first time I saw him in a gym at Contra Costa Community College in San Pablo. He just moved different. And I went up to him, I think he was a sophomore in high school, and I said, "Man, you're going to be a really good college player one day because just your IQ, the way you move around the court." I mean, he's added a tremendous amount of ball handling skills. He's become a shot maker. I mean, he's going to end up with a 10, 11-year career in the NBA and make a whole lot of money. And I'm sure he's going to make his family incredibly proud, even more proud than they all probably already are.
I crossed paths with him a few times just because I'm really good friends with Sean Briggs. We played on the same team in middle school.
I love Sean.
Yeah, he's killing it over in Europe right now, by the way.
Man, a grown man.
I remember, but I was going to say, and then also I went to Santa Barbara, of course. So,
Milf Hunter donates $2. Says Kyle coaches like a Big Ten coach in the 80s or 90s. Thanks for the $2 there, Milf Hunter. Did you guys see that? Is it NBA.com is going to be carrying Wembanyama?
Yes, 2 announcements
Or is
actually.
it ESPN? Is it ESPN that's going to be carrying Wembanyama's games?
Yeah, it's the NBA app. And then, and maybe NBA.com as well. I know it's the app, but what I thought was even cooler, they had 2 announcements today. One is that, yes, you can watch all the French games with that Wembanyama is playing in. But the NBA is introducing their version of NBA Red Zone, of NFL Red Zone, like the NBA version. They're calling it Crunch Time. It's every Monday at 5:30, where it's going to be a red zone thing, where they're just going to go game to game, showing like all the close finishes. And if it's just a lot of blowouts, they'll put a gambling focus on it. So let's say like the over/under is close, or let's say the spread. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. It's every Monday at 5:30.
They just call it the bitching hour because everyone's complaining about calls.
Instead of the witching hour, the bitching hour. So we're starting with Rye. Rye, did you have a final thought on Warriors Heat tonight? How much of Warriors Heat did you get a chance to watch?
Oh, I watched almost all of it. Just my big thought's just Wiggins, man, looking like he looks like he's comfortable as a number 2, and man, just crashing the boards, keeping it up. And it's kind of weird though how it's like you see him, it's like, man, it's awesome seeing Wiggins have all this emotion and he's smiling, and then once he gets to the pregame presser, he's kind of like same old stoic Wiggins. But hey, man, he's kind of quirky. I like it.
Yeah, Wiggins, it's amazing when you think of Wiggins, guys coming out of high school and just not quite, being ready. And it's amazing how quickly everybody wants to throw the labels. Oh, he's a bust. He's a bust. Yeah. But what he really always had was just incredible body for the game. And so even though he struggled and was on some bad teams, he always had the body for the game. And then eventually he got in a winning situation. He got a little continuity, a little sameness in his life. And the Warriors I think they were realistic about what they wanted out of him. And I think he was realistic about them. And the whole thing kind of came together. And the way that he became this tenacious rebounder in the playoffs last year, and how he's carried some of that rebounding into this year, I just think that makes him, a really special player. But what I've noticed is that there's a calmness and like a content. He's like content without being lazy. He's like happy. He understands his role. He doesn't force it. But he doesn't drift. He understands that he's kind of like the guy. He's like one of the main guys, and he needs to take big shots. And sometimes when the shot clock's, going down and cycles over to him, maybe in the past he would have shuffled it to somebody else. Now he kind of will take that dribble and say, okay, I need to take this shot, and he'll settle into it and he shoots it in rhythm. And I don't think I've ever seen him look this good. I don't think I've ever seen him look this comfortable, this connected on both ends of the floor, this dialed into his teammates. I've never seen him play off other players. He plays off of multiple other Warriors just expertly. I just think we're seeing a player that he's a truly good person, and he's found the perfect home. And now we're just seeing it all come together. It really is a great story because it was not instantaneous. We all are basketball fans. We all know that this guy's road it hasn't been like tumultuous, but it's been kind of just hasn't been able to kind of get in the right spot at the right time. And now he's in exactly the right spot at exactly the right time. And it's just like hand to glove, right? It looks a perfect fit for the Warriors. Danny, you got a final thought on the night? Any direction you want to take it? Go for it.
Yeah, I was just looking up something. I was reading something, and I was just...
We can't hear Dan for some reason. What's going on? Oh, okay. No, I'm just joking. I'm fucking with you. Go ahead, Danny. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, I was just looking at the
Cy likes when I fuck with Danny. I can already tell.
I don't know why, but
it makes you laugh.
Yeah, Cy loves it. Yeah, you want me to biscuit?
Cy loves it. He's like, fuck off. All right,
you want a biscuit, Cy? You want a biscuit?
Sorry. Yeah, I've heard it's animal grade. All right, go ahead, Danny. We're screwing with you.
I was just thinking something said in the Warrior recap tonight on ESPN that tonight marked the opening of the Warriors when they won 24 straight. And I'm thinking, did they start the season late October back then? And
Yes.
we bumped the season up
Yes.
like a couple of weeks now.
Used to start like Halloween, right? Almost like
beginning sometimes November even. Yeah.
So so I'm kind of like it starting a little earlier, so they're not crunching all these games, because that was where they used to do all these 5 and 6 nights a lot.
Now they still do, but not as much. Yeah.
Right. So no, I think my biggest takeaway is that Curry just looks like he's I saw something the other day, guys taking their top 5 players in the NBA, and all these guys are top 10, and I think Curry was picked by like 5th or 6th. I was watching some program. I just think he sees all that. I think he's just going to come back, and maybe people have him ranked 4th or 5th again in the MVP. He's just going to win back-to-back titles, and I think that's his mission. And I think he's more focused, even more so than last year, and because there's a target on him, and he's out to prove that he's the best player in the league.
Can I add on to that real quick? It's a big gripe I've had, and I don't know if I've mentioned it, but the way the stupid NBA discourse is it's like, oh, well, if you win the title and you're the best player on that team, your default next year, you're the number 1 player in the league. It's like, right. It happened in 15, it didn't get to happen for Curry because everyone said, oh, LeBron didn't have help. LeBron's still the best player. 16, it's LeBron. 17, it's KD. 18, it's KD. 19, it's Kawhi. 20, okay, whatever. And then it's like all of a sudden he finally has his year, and he still is like an afterthought.
Yeah, he's still an afterthought. It's just like, I just think that motivates him and the rest of the team.
Yeah.
I guess my takeaway is that, one thing I like that we've seen in the early part of the season is I think Draymond Green needs to score on this team. He doesn't need to be a major scorer, but he can't be 0. He can't be a total non-offensive entity. And what we're seeing is that he's getting his buckets and he's going to the rim. He's driving. And you know what? I don't want to see him shooting threes. I really don't. He's got to, when it cycles to him and they're giving it to him and he's in the rhythm and the shot clock's ticking down, he has to take a couple, right? He took 1 tonight. But that's what I want to see. I want to see him taking more shots in the paint and less shots at the arc. His shot from the arc is flat and it's inconsistent, and his percentage goes down every year. But his ability to put the ball on the deck and go to the hole, I think that can be a strength. I think there's points to be had there, and if he gets 10, even just 10, I think that helps Golden State out immeasurably. So, and he's got to get them all going to the bucket. And I like him going to the bucket. I think he's got a pretty good game off the glass when he's going to the bucket. He can put it off the glass pretty soft in traffic. So I like the offensive output that we're seeing in this first week from Draymond. And I hope it continues. I really do, because I think if he gets 10 or 12, it takes the pressure off of everybody else on this team. Just 10 or 12 doesn't, and he's, but not from the perimeter, all in the lane. Put a lot of pressure on defenses and they'll put it on the deck, especially on some of these where he's swinging it around on the perimeter. Fake the perimeter pass and put it on the deck and go by the defender and finish in the lane. He's got long arms and he can finish off the glass. So that's what I like to see. And overall, I'm a little surprised that Tampa's in this free fall on the NFL side, but maybe it will lead to Tom Brady being moved here in the next week. Sweet. It would not it would not shock me at all if Brady were moved. I just think that there's something going on there in Tampa. Todd Bowles seems uncomfortable. They're having problems. I just think.
So how does that happen, Larry? Does something like that happen through the Brady complains to Don Yee and Yee goes to Lynch and Light, and is that how it
I mean, that's the beauty of the thing is that Jimmy's agent and Brady's agent, it's all Tom Yee and Don Yee, and Don Yee can go and express how he feels and at least get the sides to put it together, and somehow the 49ers would have to satisfy Tampa in a trade as far as whatever Tampa wants. But I think Tampa, now because of Brady's situation, Tampa's situation, Garoppolo's situation, the depth chart in Tampa, I think a Brady for Garoppolo swap, I don't know if you could do it straight up, but I think you could do it almost straight up. So I think the 49ers wouldn't have to throw any significant picks, and I think they would be willing to throw a pick or a player to sweeten the deal. So I don't know. I mean, it would be a huge risk for the 49ers because you're taking the leader of the room out of the room and you're replacing him with a guy that nobody knows. But
how long would it take Brady to learn that offense?
That's a great question too. That's a great question. I don't know. And maybe would he have to learn their offense, or would they adopt a totally different offense, that was kind of made for his strengths? I personally would love to see, spread it out and let Tom throw underneath and let Kyle design his multitude of different plays and let Tom carry it out. So
are you guys going back to the locker room tomorrow to the Santa Clara?
Yeah.
Why don't you ask Jimmy about it? See how he feels.
Yeah.
Jimmy, what do you think? You could be out of here.
Of course, it really makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Here, let me explain.
Well, here's the thing, though. The thing about this one, Jimmy's got a no trade. So if Jimmy didn't want to go to Tampa, he just says, you know what, I don't want it. But if the Niners want it and Tampa wants it, I bet you Jimmy would want it, because if he goes there, I don't think Tampa would want to make that move unless Tampa wanted to extend Jimmy. So I think Jimmy would probably go there with either an extension or a promise of an extension, something like that. So maybe he would.
Question right there tomorrow. Just go up to Jimmy G and say, Jimmy, would you, enforce your no trade clause if you were traded to the Buccaneers?
And make sure you have this hat on when you do it.
That would be really good if I wear a Jimmy G hat in the room.
Amazing. That would be
nothing
incredible.
Says I'm a serious journalist like the Jimmy G hat.
The Jimmy G hat. Incredible.
Could you imagine if you had like the Steph Curry sweatshirt and you're at the presser?
Jimmy.
Carl, give us your final thought. We've got mine, Danny, and Ryan's. Let's get yours.
I'm just picturing the journalists in that room just decked out either in like the brightest red gold or the blue gold if it's basketball, with a hat or one of those beanies that like really dangles with the gold thing,
or like a jersey. You've got Eric Branch is wearing like a Kittle jersey.
You can just see my hand holding up the mic, but it's a foam finger holding the mic.
Exactly, like a foam finger. Like Buster, buddy.
Yeah, there's Buster. There's Buster. All right, as we look at Buster, give us your thought, Carl. Final thought of the night before Danny eats more dog food.
The fantasy I love for the Niners, that would be incredible, but I won't focus on that. I'll focus on what's really important. 3 more guys have really, really established themselves as I deserve to be a part of the Warriors rotation from here on in. And that is James Wiseman, Moses Moody, and JaMychal Green. We know Dante DiVincenzo will be back in the rotation when he comes back. And the rest of it is really going to come down to, as we all have talked about, does the young fella make the transition, make the change, do basically what, it's funny, Larry, what you said Andrew Wiggins did. He was on a bad team with no principles and no culture, was allowed to put up some ridiculous numbers, but it didn't lead to winning. And then he got in a winning environment and found out, hey, I really want to conform to what makes the game be played right. And I think that's really another hope for Jonathan Kuminga, that the people he's around, players like that, are going to have an influence over him over time.
Sai, you got a final thought before we throw it to Frank for our final thought of the night here?
the Tom
Good win
Brady
for Golden
thing.
State. It was a nice win for sure. And if you want to tease what you got locked on tomorrow, feel free to.
Warriors. First of all, the Brady thing, man, you got me all like hyped up and excited, and you know it's not going to really happen.
It could.
Got me all hopeful, and just now I'm just going to be brokenhearted when we got Jimmy G for another fucking month and a half. But it would be really nice if we did get Tom Brady.
Sponsored
regarding
by
the Warriors, you're right. First of all, Locked On Warriors, check it out. Kylan Mills comes on tomorrow. There's a lot to talk about because actually I listened to the Klay Thompson presser where he went completely like unscripted, unprompted at the end of it to talk about the Barkley comments from a couple days ago. And that's going to be all over the news because Klay was, Klay was hurt. Klay expressed like legit feelings and, talked about how he came back from 2 major injuries. He's still coming back from it. And, instead of it being a success story, they won a championship last year. Barkley's saying he's on the decline. And Klay said he got hurt by that. So there'll be a lot of reaction to that in the media tomorrow. No doubt about that. We'll cover that on Locked On Warriors again with Kylan Mills and play a bunch of sound. Obviously going to talk about this Jonathan Kuminga playing time thing. But to end on a positive note, one thing I noticed in this game, and I've been noticing this season, which has been just so damn encouraging and so damn exciting and just should put a smile on every member of Dub Nation's face, and that is the chemistry between Jordan Poole and James Wiseman. Those two have something very special going on there, and we could be looking at that for the next 10 to 15 years, folks. And so all it is just defense. It's all going to come along. The offense is clicking clearly faster than it is on the defensive side, and that's natural. But to see those two, they have something going on there. There's clear chemistry, and I'm really excited to see the future with those two. And it's good that the Warriors won. The defense improved. Got a long ways to go there, but yeah. And thanks for having me on, man. This is always like a treat. Thank you.
Absolutely. Big Frank,
you want a treat?
Human grade.
It's human grade. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
They're big in Mesa, I believe. The 55 and over community. You can probably get one on your doorstep every night. Frank, you got a final thought on this one? A good win for Golden State. A fun Thursday night for sure.
Yeah, I just want to really quickly when Foster and I saw Gabe Benson in Vegas playing with the Soldiers, I immediately picked the phone up and called the guy's like a little brother to me. He was on the Kansas staff. I couldn't believe he was going to Santa Barbara. I wanted him to go to Kansas because I thought he would fit in there pretty well. So it's good to get on these young players early. And I think Carl and I both knew that Gabe, despite his injuries, had a lot more basketball to play. So I'm happy for that young man. With regards to the Warriors, you know what? Instinctively, I just think that this was their best game of the year. I saw a team that could turn it on when they need to. It was great to see their veteran players exhibit great leadership for the young guys on the bench. And also, Cyrus, I think you're going to come on board on the Ty Jerome train before the end of the year. Because, because you know what? Ty is just, physically, he doesn't quite match up, but intellectually, I think he's very attractive to the Golden State Warriors, and particularly Steve Kerr, who had to work around all of the physical stuff to really focus on his intangibles. And on a serious note, I hope that Quindarius finds a job, because I would agree. I think he is an NBA player. But as we talked about the last time, I think the politics got in the way, and that's why he's not a part of the Golden State
point.
Warriors.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Sorry to interrupt.
Wait, what was the politics?
Well, the politics was, he's been a two-way player for several years. You could argue last year that he played as well as many minimum salary veteran guaranteed players, and he thought that he was in line when Juan left. I believe, I don't know this for a fact, but I think that he felt he was deserving of a guaranteed contract. The Warriors had different ideas. They wanted him to take a two-way deal, and he was a little slow to respond. So I'm just using my critical thinking skills. I don't have any facts, surrounding this topic. But knowing how the Warriors operate, they're a pretty bottom line organization. It wouldn't surprise me if that had something to do with it. Ultimately, I think it's about basketball, but I think that that might have something to do with it.
Hey, before we head out, I want to get everybody's. The Warriors got 5 games coming up in 7 nights.
Right.
They open
Charlotte,
up Saturday.
Detroit, Miami, Orlando, New Orleans.
Yeah.
What's the record?
What do you think they're going to come back?
I'm saying one. I'm saying 4-1.
I'm saying 3-2.
I'm gonna say 3-2.
You know what's an
With the
interesting
losses being where? Because I think they get Charlotte, Detroit.
Yes.
I think they lose to the Heat and the Pelicans.
Do you?
I think they lose to the Pelicans, just the Pelicans.
They have Miami's number.
The Pelicans. I think the team that could still cause them problems, unfortunately, is Charlotte. For whatever reason, when they go back to Steph's home, Charlotte finds a way to steal a win. So
And Charlotte's playing good ball right now. They are.
We know the Warriors are going to want to send a message to the Pelicans, just like they're going to want to send a message to the Grizzlies. You want to keep those young dogs knowing that the old dog still runs this house.
Vicky Boone says 3-2.
I agree. 3-2. I'm going.
Hey, I got one question.
The double back-to-backs.
I've wanted to ask this question. I've known Carl for years, and I've probably never asked this question, or if I do, I don't remember the answer.
What's your last name?
Yeah. How did you get LeBron to play for the Street Soldiers? And more, beyond that, I'm sure that's probably a pretty decent story. But then the other one is, you've been basketball. I mean, Carl, you and I and Frank, we talked ball for years. I've never asked you this question. I can't believe I've never asked you. What did you and Frank think the very first time you laid eyes on LeBron? Because he must have, and how old was he?
Okay. You see me smiling?
Yeah.
Like I get goosebumps. I saw Kenny.
Where
Anderson
was it? Where were you?
At Cal.
Okay.
I saw him at Cal. I saw Kenny Anderson as a 15-year-old playing in the city championship at Fordham.
Archbishop Malloy, right?
Yeah, and he was at Fordham playing, and I'm watching there because I went to the school. But Mr. Curran never started Kenny Anderson. He came off the bench, starting second quarter. He was unbelievable. LeBron was the best 15-year-old I've ever seen. And here's the thing about LeBron. LeBron, I believe, was such a fan of Michael Jordan that was during the fall back, lean back, fall away jumper days. LeBron's jump shot as a 15-year-old was textbook. Yeah. He was a beautiful shooter. He shot better than Bronny now. He was a beautiful shooter. He went back to Ohio and something happened to his shot. He started winding it up. So the shot that you see now for LeBron is not the shot that I saw as a 15-year-old. That guy had textbook form, 45-degree angle, held it. Take it over, Carl, because
he tried to emulate Jordan basically back then.
When Jordan used to fall away from the baseline, there was a lean, and then when next time I saw LeBron, his shot was contorted in that way. It was not fundamentally sound. But when I saw him as a 15-year-old, I was really impressed as a 6'6" point guard with textbook shooting form, touch.
What year are we talking for Red? What year was that?
He was 16. False. What year was that? He was 16.
2000,
2001.
He came out to Cal Berkeley 2 years in a row. The first year he came, he was a 14-year-old, had a big natural, no tats, 6'4", real thin. And
that was the first time you'd ever seen him?
Yeah. One of my best friends who's from Akron, went to San Francisco State, played hoop there. He told me about LeBron when LeBron was 12. And then he got back in touch with us, and in particular, the guy who started the Soldiers, Calvin Andrews, who now works for Clutch Sports. He's one of the agents there. Chris had been telling us about him. Coach Dambrot, who was at St. Vincent St. Mary's, was the head coach then before he went to Akron University. And at that time, Dambrot and Ben Bron were really good friends. And so they wanted to get an opportunity to have the kid on campus. They had saw that he was a USA Today All-American. The first time I saw him, at the end of the tournament, he played 3 games for us in that weekend. His team actually lost to our top team, or our young team that starred Leon Poe. Leon was a freshman as well.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the interesting things was Calvin asked me at the end of the tournament, we're driving home. He said, so what'd you think of the youngster? And I gave him my evaluation. I said, well, the kid plays like he's 35 years old. He's got just the most amazing IQ for the game. He has a real feel, just the way he flows. Like Frank said, he was really fundamentally sound then because he lacked something. And Calvin said, well, what do you think he needs to be really special? I said, the only thing he's missing is athleticism. If he gets blessed with ridiculous athleticism as he continues to age, he'll be the best high school player to ever play. The next time we saw him, he and his mom, Gloria, we picked him up at LA International Airport and drove to Cal State Dominguez Hills for a tournament his sophomore spring. It was in April. So we're talking about from July to April. He had grown 3 inches to 6'7". We didn't even have time for warm-up because we were running late. We were playing the last game of the night. It was going to start at 9:30. We get there at like 9:29. We're running from the parking lot into the gym. The guys had put on their uniforms in the van. We just told our starting 5 in the van, just run on the floor. They literally called us and said, we're going to forfeit your first game, which means we wouldn't have been able to play for the championship. Literally, we ran in the gym. The ball had already been tipped, and they are going down court. We get the ball, and we start playing. Somewhere early in the first half, LeBron gets a steal near our sideline in the backcourt. He pushes it up the floor with his left hand, pushes it into his right hand in a crossover, and he took off and did that flying wings of glory dunk that he now has made his signature. And I looked at Calvin and said, he's going to be the greatest high school player ever because he just got sprinkled with athleticism. The party was over after that. To this day, I remember I called Matt Steinmetz, and I told Matt, I said, Matt, this dude is going to be so special. And he's like, Carl, yeah, whatever, man, you guys, whatever. To this day, whenever I see Matt, and I used to hoop against Matt, as did Frank, he was actually a pretty good hooper. We still talk about that. He said, man, I didn't want to believe you. You were right about that dude. Yeah, he's just a special guy, man. He always had a special aura about him in terms of his maturity. And then I congratulate him that he, Rich Paul, Randy, and also Maverick Carter, that what they call the 4 horsemen, LRMR, they have done such an amazing job of building an empire. And the things that he's done for the sport, I don't know if anybody will ever rival the things he's done for the sport. I didn't say as a player. Michael Jordan, we know, Wilt Chamberlain, we know Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all incredible players. But LeBron has done so many unique things for the sport. He's a galvanizing figure because so many people are on different sides, depending on what they're talking about. But the one thing you cannot say is that he has not represented the NBA incredibly well. And so I hate seeing what's happening to the Lakers with him on it, but I don't hate what's happening to the Lakers.
Man, I could listen to you guys talk about. I could listen to these stories all night. All right, last one.
Let me ask Carl real quick. Is there a 14-year-old right now or 14, 15-year-old that we're going to be talking about in the next 3-4 years as like the next great thing?
Absolutely. One of the beautiful things, and your brother knows this because he's gone to Vegas a lot to see tournaments. You see these guys when they're young, seeing the Kobe Bryant, seeing the Tracy McGrady's, seeing the Dwight Howards and all these other guys that have become players. When you see them at 14, 15 years old, you know that the question becomes, who are the people that support them? Because they already have the gifting. It's like a young golfer, a young swimmer, a young gymnast. You see the talent is there. You see they have certain skills. The question is, will their career be derailed by some of the other influences? Or do they have the health? It's like looking at Victor. Everybody, I watched one of the French games today. They had highlights of it. The dude looks like Kevin Durant at 7'4.5". Oh, he's just so fluid. But yeah. I saw him at 16 when he was playing in a one-on-one game against Rudy Gobert. And he was destroying Rudy at 16.
Wow.
And Rudy was an all-star. So what he's becoming is not a surprise.
How old is that kid? Was he 19 now?
He's 18 years old.
18, yeah.
18. Oh my!
But is there a 14-year-old to get Danny an answer to his question? Is
there a name that you know?
Absolutely. And when you listen to my show, Danny, when you're a subscriber and a sponsor,
here we go. Last question of the night, and I really mean that because, by the way, we're 2.5 hours in, and it's midnight, so I want to let you guys get on with your night. But we've all been basketball fans. Give me the basketball player that you were convinced was going to be all that, and it just didn't work out. I got two that come to mind for me for sure, but I definitely want your guys. The guy that, man, everybody thought this guy was going to be awesome, and maybe you thought it as well, and it just didn't happen. Anybody that comes to mind in your lifetime? I'll give you mine while you guys are thinking. Two of them. One, I remember when O'Dowd played Crenshaw in the state title. Hot Plate Williams, John Williams.
Yeah.
John Williams had just this forgettable name, but he had the most unforgettable game. He had kind of like a Magic Johnson like skill set, 6'9", but they called him Hot Plate. He just ate too much. And he was but awesome. I mean, awesome. Like incredible high school player. I just think John Williams, one of the most talented players that I ever saw that didn't really become anything. The other one, who I was just absolutely, this guy's going to be freaking incredible. And it didn't happen. Marcus Liberty. I thought Marcus Liberty, who was just an awesome high school player, I thought, man, he's going to go play for Henson at the Illini. He's going to be awesome. He's going to be NBA All-Star. Nope. Did he even make the league? Did Liberty make the league?
Yeah, he did.
He did?
He played about 4 years. He was a reserve. About 4 years.
So Marcus Liberty and John Hot Plate Williams. Not to be confused with the other John Williams who was played it for the Cavs with Doherty and those guys. Those are the two. Who did you guys? Anybody you thought was going to be just incredible? Like, oh my God, this guy's going to be an all-timer, and it just didn't work out. And the other one, I thought D'Antonio Winfield, who played for Cincinnati, and I thought, man, this guy's going to be incredible. No, didn't happen.
I'm gonna say Derek Coleman. Derek Coleman had a pretty good NBA career, but
made a ton of money though.
Should have been better. Yeah.
Right. But listen, that dude was awesome.
Yeah.
Derek Coleman was unbelievable. And he just never quite put it together. He had a couple of injuries.
He had one playoff series that he just lit somebody up. I forget who it was, but he had one crazy great playoff series.
What a great player. That's mine. Yeah. Derek Coleman.
Derek Coleman for you young bucks. He could shoot it. He could low post you. He's about 260. Incredible. The game so talented. The game almost bored the guy.
I got two for you guys.
Go ahead.
One is Penny Hardaway, who started his career.
Thought Penny was going to be spectacular.
I mean, him and Shaq were. I mean, people viewed those two.
The great 30 for 30. The Penny and Shaq 30 for 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then when Shaq left, like Penny just never he just faded. I was kind of disappointed. And then the other one, I think injuries played a large part, but Grandmama Larry Johnson. I thought he would do a little more.
Oh, that's a great call.
A little more.
Oh, that was
I got a couple
favorite players of all time. I love Grandmama.
I got a couple for you that I thought he would be like unbelievable in the NBA. I think he was Louisville. Daryl Griffith, the guy had a
Dr. Duncanstein.
Yeah, 40 something,
46-inch vert,
46 something, and he was like just a freak at Louisville. And he was like, I think
he's good.
Wasn't that the team that beat UCLA in the Final Four for the first time, knocked off UCLA? I think it was. Yeah, he was so incredible, and I was just like, I was a senior in high school. I think I remember I was like Dr. Duncanstein or whatever. Wasn't that his nickname?
Yeah, Dr. Duncanstein.
Yeah. So, and then another one, give you two more. One was local, was the Warriors drafted him, Chris Washburn. He just was unbelievable.
Grandmaster D. Yeah. He put it on his license plates.
Yeah. And then I thought Nervous Purvis Ellison would be a great NBA player, and he just wasn't a great player. Those guys, they weren't. I mean, he wasn't a bust or Griffin really wasn't a bust. I mean, what's his name? Washburn's considered one of the all-time. He even says he was a bust. That's how bad it was.
Well, that entire draft was a bust. I mean, William Bedford, Washburn, several others. Cocaine was had hit the country hard in the mid '80s, and several of the guys in that '86 draft, I think, got into the coke. Rye, I know you're a younger guy, but who comes to mind?
Again, it's. I know, Carl, you're going to be, and Frank, you guys are going to be like, oh, come on, what? Those guys are still almost in the league right now, but. Just as a young guy, two guys from my class who actually I followed them closely because I actually played against a team with both of them in Portland at the Nike tournament in 7th grade. Played against a team with Justice Winslow and Stanley Johnson. I know you guys know Stanley Johnson. I just thought both of those guys were going to be studs in the NBA.
I did too.
So, I know Stanley, he was on the Lakers last year for a bit. I still am holding out a little bit of hope. But I was just like, what the hell? Like, I already liked his game so much. And then it's like he wins 4 straight state titles. It's like he's a winner. It's like, how is this going to go wrong? And then Justice Winslow was awesome in college also. So, like, I remember that there was some trade that almost happened between the Celtics and the Heat, I think, where they were going to offer a bunch of stuff that would have screwed up their franchise. And then the one guy that's in the league now that it seems he's already bouncing around, I still am holding out hope on Cam Reddish. I still feel like Cam Reddish could end up being – I thought he might be the best of those 3 guys at Duke, 5-6 years into their careers. But I don't know.
Ryan, those are some good calls, by the way. Those are good calls.
Seriously. A lot of good names there. All right, guys, great stuff. Hey, we'll let you get on with the rest of your night. Would somebody have anything? Ryan, just something you want to say?
Oh, Carl and Cy, did you guys give your picks?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they did. No, Cy didn't. I didn't hear Cy. Did you?
Yeah, Cy went with. Who'd you go with, Cy?
Penny and Grandmama.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Larry Johnson. Grandmama was just
Grandmama.
Larry Johnson.
Hilarious commercials.
Larry Johnson was awesome. All right, guys. Awesome stuff. Great to talk to all of you. We'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate you.
Take care. Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one.